They're amazing at tracking data.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, March 21st, 2021. This is your award-winning Gimel Nation Media Assassination episode 1331.
This is No Agenda.
In the wild and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all aware of what you're up against, Indiana, Brood 10 is coming. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Let me guess, is that an obscure sports reference? I mean, obscure
No.
to me? What was that?
The cicadas, the Brood 10.
I don't know anything about this.
The United States is, in the East Coast is covered with these broods of cicadas that emerge between 13 and 17 years on a very, very distinct pattern.
That makes
and come out and eat everything.
That makes total sense. We were living in New Jersey in the 90s, and I remember it was crazy at one point. You walk outside and they were flying around like a plague of locusts.
That's Brood 2.
Brood. The brood. Wow. What do they eat?
Yeah, I was in when I was working for PC Magazine about 17 years ago. I was in Manhattan when Brood 2 was out. Brood 2 takes over a good part of the East Coast. Oh, well, the Eastern Seaboard, including Manhattan. Although I'd say it may have been actually Brood 10 because it looks on the map I'm looking at here. I have to keep a map of my cicadas.
Oh, you have a cicada map. Oh,
yeah.
Midtown
Manhattan may be affected by Brood 10.
Well, okay, but which brood is this? Is this Brood 2 or 10?
This is Brood 10.
This is Brood 10.
Yeah.
That's a great show title. Or is it used everywhere?
Brood 10. Brood 10 takes out a little bit of eastern Illinois. Almost all of Indiana will be chewed to the bone.
Really?
By half of Ohio, a couple of spots in southern Michigan, and that's about it. Oh, there's also some in the Appalachians.
Well, I got family in Indiana, and they have not mentioned this yet.
Well, your family in Indiana is going to be they better not
eaten
go
alive.
outside.
They're going to be eaten alive. I mean, I used to have family in Indiana, is what I meant, until Brood 10 ate them.
When I remember, I've been through a couple of these, I'm from California, stay in California. I don't want to deal with it. But I've been to the areas. Actually, Texas has a little action up by the Oklahoma border. But not for Brood 10, but for Brood 4. Anyway, so you go out there, and one of these damn things will just fall out of the tree because they've been eaten away. They don't know they have no common sense, or very few of them know physics.
Wait, are you calling them dumb?
And so they fall out of the tree and land on you?
Yeah.
Oh. Horrible.
They're big. Now, do we want to put some money down on who's going to do the first segment on television about eating the cicadas as a good source of protein and nutrition?
Well, it's already been done online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we need mainstream to go. This is a bug topic. This is great for bugs. Bug lovers everywhere. Off to Indiana you go. Now, can we just collect them? Can we deep freeze them and sell them later? I mean, this may be a free inventory.
What it even tastes like, but we'd have. I'd be more comfortable making a bet such as that if we had followed the more closely where the bug stories were coming from initially. You got scattered around, but I bet you there's one or two bug promoters. In other words, the networks that are run by the reptilians.
Yeah, because they just want to go into any nice upscale restaurant and get bugs.
I'm pretty sure that CNN is one of them.
Well, you never want to doubt your No Agenda show. We are always ahead of the curve, although our future predictions are getting closer. 1 week ago today, episode 1329, I had a bold Red Book prediction on the show, and I'd like to play a clip.
Okay,
What do you think
I am now reducing it to 6 weeks from now instead of 2 months. 6 weeks. Okay, 6 weeks deadline. It's happening. It's unavoidable. It's done. It's over. There'll be he's going on the road now. A road is a good place to die, or to stumble, or to be incapacitated. And I take no joy in saying this. It's just obvious.
The stumble came less than a week after this prediction.
I don't think this was really an out there prediction.
But I said stumble, and that I'm very proud of that.
He stumbled, got himself up, and then fell on his ass.
Now, I got a note from one of our producers who is older. And he says, when you watch the whole video of Joe falling up the stairs of Air Force One, and I did watch this, pay special attention to the few seconds before he starts up the stairs. Focus on his left foot and ankle. It's hard to see unless you really try. It's clear he's having problems before he gets on the stairs. He's dragging his left leg. The foot actually looks a bit askew. That's why he uncustomarily used the right railing to hold on for support. He never does this, or never used to. Also, the third fall, notice that he tries and fails to grab the left railing with his left hand. His grip fails. Conclusion from our producer, who is not a doctor. It appears the left side of his body has neurological issues, possibly brain bleed from the blood thinner he's taking to prevent the recurrence of blood clots that have been documented as a result of his brain surgeries. I think this may be more serious than just a funny moment where we could do some memes of Trump hitting him with a golf ball. It might have been more serious. And quite honestly, where's the analysis?
Well, here's the only one I could find. And it was, this is on PBS. This was Biden fall report. This is as far as it got any place. Nobody wants to talk about it.
And the White House says that President Biden is fine after stumbling as he boarded Air Force One this morning. He tripped twice climbing the steps to the plane and fell to his knees at one point. He appeared to rub his left knee before continuing. An aide says that high winds may have been a factor in the fall.
High winds.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that.
Wow. Oh, they have no shame. It's really, it's just worth noting because we'll forget how they hammered Trump over things like this. Oh, he's walking really slowly down a ramp. Is there something mentally wrong with him? You know, all of this stuff.
25th Amendment.
Oh, look, 25th Amendment. He's holding on to the railing. What is wrong? And then high winds. Oh, please. It's really, they're doing quite a job. I usually watch MSNBC all day just to get the tard into me. And it's so evil what these people are doing. And with the president, they'll just tell the whole story of exactly what they want you to know. And then they'll have Biden going, yes, I support my Secretary of State. And that's it. Click, they're back to the studio.
Not so with no agenda.
No. But very disappointing that we did not get any reports about the global protest, the global lockdown protest that took place yesterday. Not a single one have I seen. I don't know if you got anything on any of the...
No, I couldn't find anything either.
Hundreds of thousands of people in London on the street, no mass protesting. Let us out, big signs, you're killing us. The Netherlands.
Ireland.
I mean, it was all over the world. And it was not seen. The only thing you saw was anti-Asian racism protests. Oh, they whooped that one up real quick. Oh, let's talk about this. It was really, really nasty.
Yeah, that's actually kind of pathetic.
Well, do we want to go straight into COVID? Should we just talk for a second about the Asian hate? Just mix it up a little bit?
Well, I have we can do that if you want, because I have the, it's risky.
Yeah, people tuning out, they're waiting for the COVID fix. I don't know. Well, we'll find out next show. If it screws up, then we'll never do it that way again.
Well, no, we're going to have to start doing it that way because COVID has to get out of the news cycle.
Yeah, well, no, but
I don't even think it's going around anymore. You know what I've decided? I figured that must be what the thinking must be, is that if you look at the old 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, which was a real killer, And they were wearing masks, and they made a big deal about it. And they'd shoot people without masks. And there's all kinds of articles about masks. And it didn't do any good then.
There was an anti-mask movement in San Francisco.
And there was, but then that didn't do any good either. Nothing, it was what it was. But it was bigger to begin with. They never had a flattening the curve moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of faded to nothing, and it had a little comeback the next year. It wasn't as big, but it was big enough to kill a bunch of people. Of course, This will be on Joe Biden's watch.
Well, yes, we'll talk about that.
So I think they think, that's going to happen again. Instead of looking at what happened with SARS. SARS came, SARS went.
Well, I think that ship has long since sailed. It's the lockdowns continue, the curfews continue, more being instated. I mean, okay, since we're talking about it, might as well play this
nocturnal,
this quickie one.
As new coronavirus cases rise sharply, the French government is taking action.
We decided this morning that extra measures will need to be taken in a number of regions.
But with more than 400 cases per 100,000 residents, the healthcare system in the Paris region is in crisis mode. The intensive care units are at capacity, forcing the government to transfer patients to other hospitals around the country.
Sound familiar?
Decision that many patients' families have opposed.
The virus is not under control. There are as many patients in intensive care now as there was during the peak of the second wave, when it was starting to go back down. The time has come for more restrictions because it's not at all starting to go back down. We're instead in a phase of acceleration.
I was talking to Benjamin Bellamy on Friday. He's one of the developers, Podcasting 2.0 developers. He's French. He lives in Paris. And this has just taken place, another 4-week lockdown. I'm not sure about the curfew in Paris itself, but, so they're locking down. And I said, what's up? He said, everybody knows coronavirus saved Macron's career because the yellow vests were taking him down bit by bit. And once COVID hit and the lockdowns hit, no more yellow vests. He says, so I think he just wants to prolong that. He's not seeing any horrible things happening in Paris. And
because nothing's happening.
And what do they pull out again? Oh, they pull out the hospitals, the ICU units. No, lie. We have to transport them to other hospitals. You should have seen the video. They had a person on a stretcher with their feet hanging out, their bare feet. Makes no sense.
Please.
Maybe that's how they do it in France.
I have 4 clips about COVID.
I guess we're doing COVID then. What the hell? We can't get away from it?
Well, there's only 4 clips, and they're all about one thing. And so I started listening to these, and when I was producing, I kind of came to a conclusion, and then I re-edited what I was going to play. And this was a series of, it was one long report that I clipped into 4. And I'll try to fill in the blanks, because it's really hard to put the whole thing together as a complete piece. It was on PBS. It was thrown to Yamiche, the black girl. And it was about one thing and one thing only, or so it seemed, which was Republicans aren't taking the vaccine.
Oh, my God. They've done this again.
Republicans are bad. They're bad, and Republicans are stupid. Republicans are bad, they're stupid, and they don't believe in science. Let's keep that meme going for a while, even though if anyone, that's always being thrown at Republicans by people who never been in science, they've never taken much science, they don't know anything about science, they're science morons.
Right.
But let's start playing these. This is the COVID anti-Republican vaccine.
Nearly 41 million Americans are now fully vaccinated. But as many polls show, including our recent PBS NewsHour NPR Marist poll, one segment of the population remains steadfast in their opposition to getting a vaccine: Republicans. Yamiche Alcindor reports on the role that politics is playing in the effort to vaccinate America.
Across the country, vaccinations are ramping up. But a new public health challenge has emerged, persuading millions of Republicans to get the shot.
I'm just not ready right now to jump in my car, run out, go to my doctor or wherever I have to go and get that vaccine.
65-year-old Michael Carr lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's a supporter of former President Donald Trump. And while he's eligible to receive the vaccine, he's still not sure if he will. What's the hesitancy there?
I've never had the flu vaccine. I'm 65 years old. Probably should be getting the flu vaccine, but I don't. Am I chancing it? Yeah, probably. But I just have never taken the vaccine before, didn't really see the need for it. I'm kind of in that same boat with COVID-19.
Tina pointed out to me this morning, she said, you guys are talking about how the media is politicizing the vaccination. She said, I'd like to remind you that it was Kamala Harris who first started saying, if it's a Trump vaccine, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it. Have we forgotten that?
Oh, do we still have that clip? I have forgotten it. Now you mentioned it.
I was looking. It might have been one of your clips, but I cannot find a Kamala vaccine at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's probably not that hard to find, but we know that's what she was saying. She was up there.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty suspect at the time.
Well, no, it was at the time when it was, if it's a Trump thing, it's no good. I wouldn't trust it. Good. He's rushing stuff through.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Well, she's changed her tune. So let's go into the COVID anti-Republican part 2.
He says anti-vaccine sentiments already existed in the fringes of both the Democratic and Republican parties. But in recent years, this movement has resonated most with conservatives who are skeptical of the government.
It initially began in Orange County, California, in response to a measles epidemic there. The California legislature closed vaccine exemptions, and that kind of ignited this first politicization. But it was really in Texas where it found a home to amplify. And now we have over 72,000 kids in Texas denied access to their vaccinations.
And he says this movement was thrust into the national spotlight when then candidate Donald Trump spread a well-known falsehood about vaccines.
Just the other day, 2 years old, 2.5 years old, a beautiful child, went to have the vaccine and came back and a week later got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic.
He underestimated how powerful this is and the deadly consequences that it's had for the American people, not only around anti-vaccine, but actually against science more broadly, because this is what led to defiance of masks and social distancing. The anti-science platform is now mainstream with the Republican Party.
Science is always science.
They can turn your penis into a vagina now. It's science.
There you go. Science. I got Kamala Harris.
Would not trust Donald Trump, and it would have to be a credible source of information that talks about the efficacy and the reliability.
So that's one. That was the CNN exclusive, and here she is again. Let's see.
If the Trump administration approves the vaccine debate before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
There you go.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That's not quite what we're looking for.
It's not quite what we're looking for.
But it's more interesting because she's the one now, her and Biden both. Why doesn't Trump tell us to take it? Why doesn't Trump tell us to take it?
Because then no one will take it, you ditz. Because you told him.
So she says that, no, if Trump says to take it, don't take it.
Yeah.
So this is good messaging. By the way, I like the way they got a little jab in there on Texas in that last clip.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we're douchebags.
And now it's being withheld. That's not true.
No.
That's a lie. Most of these reports are lying. That was Frank Luntz, by the way, she was talking to, and that he did a whole bunch of. He's all in.
That guy is very well. He's trying
phony.
He's trying to find other customers. I think he kind of fell through as a Republican pollster, and now he has to go find some other customers, some other clients.
Especially when his first poll during the Trump era when he was running, when Trump was first getting his legs under him.
Yeah.
He was anti-Trump, but to an extreme.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
To the point of rigging the numbers. So, okay. So I'm listening to this. This is going on. By the way, we're about 10 minutes into it. And I'm thinking, and then when they play the last part, it was after I contemplated the parts we're going to play that I realized what they're up to.
Uh-huh.
This is not about getting any Republicans to take the vaccine. It's to shore up the Democrats, the one part of the Democrat Party that isn't taking the vaccine and they don't trust the government. That's the blacks. This is all about messaging. That's why El Sindor did the report. This is messaging solely to the blacks. Hey, black voter, black Democrat voter. I know you're not taking the vaccine, but those damn Republicans aren't taking it. And we're going to show you they're idiots. They're stupid. We just call them stupid. You don't want to be a dumb Republican, do you? You're not a dumb Republican. You're not in Texas with those other dumb Republicans who don't trust the government.
Well,
so
okay.
Let's listen.
Well, hold on a second. So on one hand, in order to, if they're truthful, they want to help all color Americans, since we're talking color, but okay, the blacks who have historical reasons to not want it and just don't trust it and are conspiratorial and right on. So they think that by disparaging another group, that's going to get Republicans, that's going to get African Americans to take the vaccine. Is nothing else working? Is this the last resort then?
Anti-association methodology. You don't want to associate with them, do you? You don't want to be like them. Those horrible, dumb Republicans in Texas.
And Republican, of course, now is just code for white supremacist.
Yeah, you're a white supremacist. And
yeah. Shit.
So that's what they're working on.
Good point. Good catch.
I've got the two clips to prove it.
All right.
Here are the clips where they actually start to talk. They say, shift the conversation. So, well, there's one group of people that don't, there's also the black community doesn't seem to be too interested. So let's listen to the COVID anti-Republican 3 blacks A. This is, that A is no, don't play that. Sorry. Q. Play Q. This is the question I have for you. I'll have a question for you right at the end of this question clip.
That's created a perception that black Americans simply don't want the vaccine, according to Cheryl Grills. She's a clinical psychologist at Loyola Marymount University.
If, people accept the argument that it's hesitancy that, is the reason why we see such low numbers, then you don't have to go and look for other possible competing causes. It then distracts us from looking at the real reasons that black folks are not getting vaccinated at the rates they should be in this country.
Oh, now who was this? Who was talking?
The woman, she's a black professor from Marymount, Loyola.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking about, well, if you just think that the black community doesn't want to take, no, you're missing the point. There's reasons. There's reasons other than hesitancy. No, and the hesitancy is a bogus excuse to make us not look at the reasons. There's real reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you. You do a show with Mo. What are the reasons? What are the real reasons? What are the real reasons that the black community is not taking the shot?
Historical experimentation by the United States government?
No, you're talking about it. No, that's a myth. She said herself, this is a myth. This is the excuse you're using not to see the real reasons.
Second reason, very religious.
Oh, man, you've been suckered into not seeing the real reason.
Well, now I got to think about the real reason.
Well, you don't have to think too long because you just
How about Trump? How about just Trump? Can I just say Trump is the answer?
Well, it's almost Trump. Almost.
At the rates they should be in this country. It's not about hesitancy. It's about access. And then in addition to access, it's about having clear and credible messaging about the vaccine's safety. Just talk to us.
I probably need to just separate my reaction to the government involvement in this and look at just the science.
Frank Luntz says the same effort is also needed to convince Trump supporters to take the vaccine.
So what they're saying is there's no access, just like no access to
racism.
There's no access to IDs. There's no DMV.
They can't get the vaccine.
This is bull crap.
You think?
A lot of the testing centers and the vaccination centers in New York go to Harlem. That's where they are.
So here's this long report with Yamiche holding down the fort
is all about
was a scam to get. The joke is, of course, I don't know any black people that watch PBS NewsHour with Judy just to see Yamiche. I don't think so.
To be honest, I don't know any people who watch the PBS NewsHour with Judy.
You're looking at one.
Yeah, no, one. You're the only guy I know.
So I just watch this whole thing and realize that what this new anti-Republican thing is just to get the black community just to separate them out. Come on, you don't want to be a Republican. You know, these guys, they're a bunch of racists. They're stupid. They're dumb. They don't like science. They don't even believe in science. That's unbelievable.
Okay, we got to keep our eye on that. But again, do they really care? I mean, has a missive gone out?
I think sincerity does exist.
Okay, so then they must be sincere about it. What an interesting way to approach it. So if we can't use...
You actually summarized it best early on when I first brought the thesis to the fore. You said, are they that hard up for a rationale that they're pulling this out of a hat?
Yeah, I guess so.
Apparently they are.
I mean,
I said apparently.
In the UK, they're still using old school tactics, which is appreciated because it's much more fun to laugh at. Click, the show Click, that's their computer internet.
I don't know the show.
Oh,
Click.
Come on, it's been on forever. Hello, welcome to BBC Click. Really? It's been on for, maybe 20 years now, I think. I remember they interviewed me when I was doing podcasting, the original podcast. Anyway, so it's kind of like a This Week in Tech, only done by the BBC. And the BBC has to be good stewards of the new rules-based global order, also known as New World Order, and they have to promote the vaccine. And, well, the hosts of this show, they deserve a bonus for this one.
Welcome to Click. I would like to share with you some personal joy, if I may. I was getting ready to film the program this morning when I got the best text message that I think I've received in years, inviting me to get my first dose of the vaccine.
Congratulations. I presume you acted on it.
Yeah, sure did. Took about 3 or 4 clicks, I think, and I'm booked in for later this afternoon. So it was easy. I did that, then I had a big cry.
So I did all that, and then I had a big cry.
Oh, my God. Is this guy, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, well. Yeah.
I had a big cry.
I had a big cry.
It reminds me, just as an aside, there's the story going around about Boris Johnson getting the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, why is he getting the shot? He's had the disease.
Well, there's...
he was hospitalized.
You don't know the science, man. You don't know the science. The science is there's 20% that get reinfected. You just don't know the science. Here, there's a
Where's the science? Where is the science?
I have the science. I have the science from Good Morning America, and mind you, they're bringing
the source of all science.
Yes, and the source of all memes, or at least M5M memes. They're bringing a term to the forefront, which is being used consistently, and we may have some ideas as to why.
And Dr. Jen, there was a new study out last night. Yep. A lot of people want to know, those who have been infected with COVID-19, does it provide any protection going forward?
Yep, and this is definitely encouraging, just published in The Lancet. So take a look at what this was research done in Denmark, where they are amazing at tracking data. They found people.
Is that true? Is Denmark amazing at tracking data?
What's science? These are the so-called science people.
Is this?
They're amazing at tracking data.
Is this something we should be aware
it's like
of?
A bunch of kids, like 7th graders.
Do they have some? Well, I'm curious. Is there something we're missing?
They're amazing at being happy. They're happy.
Yeah, they are number one. Yeah,
amazing at tracking data. Amazing. They found people who have been naturally infected with COVID had 80% protection against reinfection, but there was a qualifier. It depended on their age. This was in people under the age of 65. When you looked at 65 or older, that protection was still good, but it dropped to 47%. Good news is that this immune protection, these antibodies persisted for at least 6 months. That is really encouraging. However,
the 6 month mean for boosters.
Oh yeah,
this is a scam story.
It's all over the place.
It is really encouraging. However, here's a caveat: the study did not include variants because when they were tracking this data, the circulating virus was the wild type, not these new variants.
Okay, so this wild type.
Hold on a second. Let's stop first and back up to the Danes and their. How many people in Denmark, and how bad do you have to feel? And I really doubt this is true enough so that you can get statistical data from it. How many people in Denmark, especially the older ones, who it turns out their reliability is not that good? First of all, you can't do a double-blind study on somebody being reinfected because you can't prove any of what they said. You can't prove it.
Right.
But how many people are getting the disease 2, maybe 3 times? This doesn't make any sense. This whole thing is bogus.
Well, okay, so here's the data points. In order to move towards the booster, you're correct. It's all 6 months. 6 months here, 6 months there. We need to make a very clear distinction between the variants, which nothing is known about because the infectivity rate, all of that of the variants has only been demonstrated in lab settings. It is not. There's no study that shows this. There's nothing that's done.
It's not in the wild that they can study.
But this in the wild is for a reason. First of all, I think if you say in the wild, it sounds more like it came from a wet market than it came from a lab. I just think that's in general. In the wild, in the wild.
Well, hold on. I think you're dead on this one because I've noticed that they haven't been saying in the wild as much as they've been saying the wild version.
Yes. I think I have this here from CNN.
The CDC and the World Health Organization weighed in late yesterday on 2 new variants first detected in California. The CDC called them, quote, variants of concern. Ooh. What do we know so far about them?
You and I are also variants of concern, John.
We are a couple of variants of concern. There's no doubt about it.
These are 2 variants that are found that are more transmissible than what we call the wild type virus, the virus that is currently circulating. It's interesting with these. We knew that there'll be more and more variants as the virus circulates more and more. But when you have a variant like this, the thing you're trying to figure out is A, is it more transmissible, and B, how do the antibodies that the vaccine generates or the antibodies that someone who's infected generate work against these variants. And what they're finding is that the antibodies still seem to work well, but there's a reduced effect from these antibodies against the variants. This is all done in a lab, so it's hard to know what that really means for individuals. But I think what we're learning, Anderson, over and over again, is that these variants, while they're not escaping the immunity given by a vaccine, that is increasingly the concern. We haven't seen it yet. If that were the case, it'd be called a variant of high consequence. We haven't seen that yet, but that's what they're monitoring for.
Now, the whole reason that this is now being pushed is because of what you did not see of Rand Paul. And what you did not see of Rand Paul. What we all saw was the mask thing, and we're yelling back and forth with Fauci, and Rand Paul butt slammed him. Yeah, that was good, man. Hooray! And let's just listen to that so we can remind everybody what the meme was and not what the real news was.
If you could respond to the question so that we could all understand the difference between the vaccine and...
Oh, shoot. I don't think that's the right one. Doesn't matter. You all saw it's coming up here. It all started with the bullshit about the mask. What actually happened, and I'm going to play the preceding audio first of what the real conversation was about, which you did not see because it was about the wild versus variants and reinfection, and that no evidence exists whatsoever. And that's what Rand Paul was hammering on. I'm sorry.
And I should mention, we had a clip of the woman who did the research, who did looked at all the papers about these variants, and she threw them all over her head, saying these are all bogus because it's just lab work. Somebody saw in a lab. They made a lab version.
Well, Sanjay Gupta just said that in that report. He said, well, we don't really know. It's all in the lab.
Yeah, we don't really know.
That's not supposed to be said, by the way, Sanjay. Someone sent him a memo. He's got to shut up about that stuff. All right, so here's what you did not hear. Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci.
Shane Crotty, a virologist at La Jolla Institute for Immunology, concludes from his experiments that the amount of immune memory gained from natural infection would likely prevent the vast majority of people from getting hospitalized disease, severe disease for many years. In this study, which was published in Science, Dr. Crotty showed that antibody levels stayed relatively constant with only modest declines over 6 to 8 months. Dr. Crotty reported that, notably, memory B cells specific for the spike protein, or RBD, were detected in almost all COVID-19 cases with no apparent half-life at 5 to 8 months after infection. In other words, Dr. Crotty found significant evidence of long-term immunity after COVID infection. Furthermore, Dr. Crotty noted B-cell memory to some other infections has been observed for as long as 60-plus years after smallpox vaccination, or even 90 years after a natural infection with influenza. That was a woman who got the Spanish flu, still showed immunity 90 years later.
So this is why you did not see this. We need to push the variant story, the 6 month, after 6 months, even if you've had it, you need to go get a booster. They obfuscated this. The mainstream media didn't show it to you. And I'm including Fox News didn't show that to you. This is propaganda by obfuscation. So this is what you saw.
You're telling everybody to wear a mask, whether they've had an infection or a vaccine. What I'm saying is they have immunity, and everybody agrees they have immunity. What studies do you have that people that have had the vaccine or have had the infection are spreading the infection? If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater?
No, it's not.
The vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater?
No, that's not. Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts. Okay, the studies that you quote from Crotty and Sete look at in vitro examination of memory immunity, which in their paper they specifically say this does not necessarily pertain to the actual protection. It's in vitro.
And what study can you point to that shows significant reinfection? There are no studies that show significant
let me finish the response to your question, if you please. The other thing is that when you talk about reinfection and you don't keep in the concept of variants, that's an entirely different ballgame. That's a good reason for a mask. In the South African study conducted by J&J, they found that people who were infected with wild type and were exposed to the variant in South Africa, the 351, it was as if they had never been infected before. They had no protection. So when you talk about reinfection, you've got to make sure you're talking about wild type.
And of course, that didn't actually happen. He's lying. It's all lab studies. There's the South African study in the lab. So that's what you were supposed to hear.
And by the way, that was a Johnson & Johnson study. I'd hardly call them independent.
Here's just a follow-up on the mask. But I want everyone to understand that's what's going on here, is they have no proof. Just like we kind of obviously concluded that the reason why there could be no treatment is because we needed the emergency use authorization for the vaccines. Any treatment that is already approved as something that will not kill you is very dangerous to the pharmaceutical biosecurity state, because then, they can't roll out their vaccine, and now they want to keep it going. We heard the Pfizer CFO say, I was looking up. We'll do a 3rd shot, boosters every year, maybe boosters every 6 months. It's going to be great. Yeah, because of the variants, not the wild virus, the one from the wet market, the variants.
If you could respond to the question so that we could all understand the difference between the vaccine in controlling the wild type versus the variants that are out there and the reason for wearing a mask, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, yes. First of all, when you have a variant, you have an immunity that you get what's convalescent sera, and the same sort of thing. If I vaccinate you or me against the wild type, you get a certain level of antibody that's specific for a particular viral strain. If there's a circulating variant, you don't necessarily have it. You have some spillover immunity to be sure, but you diminish by anywhere from 2 to 8-fold the protection. So the point I'm saying is that there are variants in now circulating. The point that Senator Paul was making was that if you look at wild type only, there is some clear-cut credence to what he's saying. But we are living right now in a situation where we're having a dominance of 117, which was the original UK. We have a very troublesome variant in New York City, a 526. We've got 2 variants in California, a 427, 429, and we have a number of others. So we're not dealing with a static situation of the same virus. That was the only point I'm making.
Okay, thank you very much.
Total horse crap. And I thought you weren't supposed to say where it comes from. That's racist or xenophobic or whatever it is.
Where's variant 33?
So I realized as I was going through the stories of the AstraZeneca, there's an obvious connection to this being banned everywhere that we overlooked. And, you know, this first started in Norway, where they stopped vaccination with the AstraZeneca vaccine because of they thought it was blood clots. In fact, I have here Norwegian researchers. The AstraZeneca vaccine was the cause of the blood clots, and many more countries have stopped using this. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Oh, hello. Of course we had to get rid of this. Of course. It's not just the AstraZeneca. In fact, let me read from the Wikipedia page. This is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. And it was our very own Bill Gates, Dr. Bill, who had said early on, hey, you know, Oxford, if you really want to be on the stage with us, then you got to find a big partner. And Dr. Bill, it's even in the Wikipedia, wanted Oxford to team up with Merck. But they made a mistake of going with AstraZeneca. And it's perfect in light of the United Kingdom and the European Union. Ha ha, you idiot. We don't want your vaccine. Go sit there with your Brexit, you shitheads, and your crappy-ass vaccine. And I think that's the undertone of this Deutsche Welle interview with the Vice President of the European Parliament.
And we are now joined by Katharina Barley. She's a member of Germany's Social Democrats and also Vice President of the European Parliament. Mrs. Barley, this is just the latest setback in a whole series of setbacks. Is it time to admit that the EU's vaccination strategy is failing?
Well, this is not a EU phenomenon, because there are also countries outside of the European Union who are now abandoning, at least for a certain time, vaccination with AstraZeneca, for example, Norway or Iceland. And there are countries within the European Union who don't. So it is not
nice deflection.
Something that has really to do with the European Union. Although I must admit, I would have liked this to have a European approach, to really get together, also to put together your expertise of the different member states. I think there could have been an added European value.
But why, if we look at it, why bother to have this European Medicines Agency that actually says to the national governments, do not stop vaccinations, and yet the national authorities decide to stop vaccinations? That doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, you have to know that the competences for health policy oblige the national member states. So there is very little authority that the European Union can impose on the member states. And this is a very emotional topic, of course. So if you have one country that says, oh, for us the risk seems to be too high, and then doesn't use the vaccination anymore, the pressure rises for the others, of course, because the population is saying, wow, there's a danger.
Yeah, who could that benefit, I wonder?
You know, what has to happen is our media, the M5M, is so handcuffed by the pharmaceutical companies that they can't do anything that tells any story whatsoever that's even remotely true about drugs in general. And it's not just Pfizer, but it's all of them, because they so much of the income of the New York Times and the rest, and the networks, the TV networks in particular, most of their income for the nightly news comes from drug companies. So they will not explore any of this because, oh my God, we're going to lose them because, they all gang up on us and they all take their money away, even though there's a lot of different companies that are up on us. But it's part of a cabal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's ruining the information in this country. These news organizations have got to stop taking this money.
A meta-analysis of clinical trials of ivermectin to treat COVID-19 infection. Dr. Andrew Hill, University of Liverpool. This was a World Health Organization sponsored review of ivermectin trials, indicates 83% reduction in COVID mortality. So this is out there, and this is a problem. Again, we can't have emergency use authorization if we have approved treatments. Australia's
83% reduction in more. You got to look at these numbers differently. That's like 400,000 of the Americans dead, supposedly. That's over 500,000 dead. That means we would have saved 400,000 lives if the news media had done its job. The news media is directly responsible for the murder of 400,000 innocent Americans by their inability to actually report the facts.
That's a good point. Now, we know it's not really 400,000 from this, but we'll just use their data.
Using government numbers.
Yeah, we'll use. No, it's not government numbers. That's Johns Hopkins numbers. Just so you know, on what CNN and MSNBC
John
report.
Hopkins, CIA, what difference does it make?
Right. Australia is moving ahead just nicely, though. They're not taking any chances on variants being a story to continue injecting human resources.
There's been no community transmission of coronavirus in Victoria, but another virus is doing the rounds and children are being hit the worst. These brothers were both diagnosed with RSV.
It's such a deep cough. It reminded me of croup. He woke up and we thought he was having an asthma attack.
Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is very common and contagious and causes infections of the respiratory tract. Doctors say there's been a spike in RSV and the similar rhinovirus.
Isn't this all just common colds? RSV, rhinovirus, RSV?
Yeah, it's common colds.
Yeah. Well, no. Blah.
Like the common cold, symptoms are similar to those of coronavirus. Health professionals put the recent rise of RSV and rhinovirus down to weakened immune systems. Doctors say the lengthy lockdown combined with mask wearing protected most of us from germs last year. The advice is to get vaccinated against the flu and to wear a mask if flu-like symptoms are present.
So they're just easing the flu in on us. Keep wearing your mask. Get another shot. Keep it rolling. We need some ads on TV, boys.
COVID-19 has changed our lives. For us to live more freely, we need the added protection of COVID-19 vaccines.
Our experts are looking carefully at the clinical trial results, along with all the data on quality and manufacturing of the vaccines. We only will approve vaccines when we have enough evidence that they work and that they're safe.
The rollout of the vaccines will be available in batches, so we're making sure they go to where they are needed first. To keep up to date, visit health.gov.au.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Sounds just like nothing's wrong. Sounds all good. Go get your vaccine.
Chris.
Yeah, go get your vaccine. The problem that's taking place is the brainwashing where people truly believe that they're given freedom and, we're just going to have to wear a mask for a little bit. It's just the beginning. It's, once everyone's vaccinated, everybody has to be vaccinated. You heard the BBC Click host. It's the best text message I've received in maybe 3 years. And I had a little cry. And they're going to be so disappointed when they find out it's total bullcrap or worse. But the pressure that is going to be put in society.
Or worse is the real disappointment.
The pressure that's being put on people and how it's being communicated in the workplace is where the real issues are going to come about. This is one of our producers, his wife's company CEO did a company call, and they gladly recorded it for us so we could listen to kind of how the pressure works. And I think this is it's saddening, really, when you hear it. This is the CEO telling everybody, you kind of got to get the shot.
I want to be able to run the company in a way that we're all involved and here and engaged, and we need to. So to do that, we need to be vaccinated. And it ain't, I'm not going to beat around the bush. We don't blink at giving our kids all the vaccines, chickenpox, polio, tetanitis, measles. This is another one. We all get it. So there's 100 million people in America who have had at least just under 100. Actually, it's about 80 who have had at least some form of vaccination. Over 100 million doses in total have been handed out. Nobody's gotten sick or died significantly from it. They can't trace one death from anybody who's actually been vaccinated.
Oh, really?
There's all kinds of stuff out there. I get it, but you got to lift your head up out of the weeds and take a look and go, I can materially make a difference for those around us. And we can get back to being around the office without masks, hanging out. And so we had a good year. It doesn't mean anything's guaranteed for this year. And we've got to get back on a more structured setup. And I want a company that's, got a lot of people here involved and working in a schedule that works for each of you. So I hope you got the point. We need to get vaccinated. So if you got any challenges with it, I'm open to chatting about it, but you know where I'm coming from.
I mean, this is horrible. The pressure that comes from this is
requiring you to take an experimental vaccine.
Yeah, which is illegal in the United States. Now, I have it in the show notes. The Food and Drug Administration emergency use authorization. It cannot require anything under emergency use as mandatory. Employers cannot do that, which includes schools. And I had a thought.
Lawsuits are waiting.
I had a thought about this. I don't think that. I mean, we're going to get some version of a vaccine passport, but it's so convoluted. There's everyone in Silicon Valley and other Silicon Valleys around the world is jumping on this, trying to have the definitive app. Nothing's going to be compatible. We saw all these efforts fall apart, and there were some open source projects, and then there was a consortium here. Now the airlines are trying to do their version of it. So it's a complete cluster. But if you're just confident, and there's no way to really check any of the current paperwork. In fact, this report led me to a thought that we might want to implement.
Was this you after you got your COVID-19 shot? First, you land the appointment, then get the vaccine. Relief? Pure joy? The experts say whatever your emotion, share how you feel, but keep your vaccination record card to yourself. Bad guys are stealing them from your social media and using them to commit the latest crime of opportunity.
This card is, for all practical purposes, worthless because it's so easy to forge.
Professor Fraud Bill Cressy from Governor State University says the problems are threefold. First, each one bears your name and date of birth. It's a great starting point for criminals trying to steal your identity.
With that piece of information, you can actually go into the dark web, go into social media sites and get the other pieces you need, including your social security number. So you're handing over potentially to identity thieves one of the numbers on that Tumblr lock that can access your identity.
Right. Okay. So I think that just tells us that there's going to be ways that you identify yourself. And just like the testing, PCR,
But before you continue, when people tell it their birthday, finding somebody's birth date, it's on your driver's license, it's used for ID, it's all over the place. It can be it can be captured very easily. When I have a wine drop off, they have to take a picture of my driver's license because the stores are closed. This one lone aspect of it, the birthday, as one of the keys of the puzzle of identity theft, is pretty lame.
The reason they have this report is, I think, for different reasons. They don't want forgeries, which we talked about in the last show. For entertainment purposes only, we had a PDF, print-ready PDF of a vaccination card. Now, what if there was a website? Let's just say, because we need to have something where you can just get by, live your life without people questioning you. And let's say there's a website, vaccinationregistry.org, which I thought, when I registered that, I thought it sounded kind of official. And when you go there, you type in a few things, your name, and it doesn't really matter what else you put in there. And then you hit go. It then creates a printable image that includes a QR code. And this is easy to generate, these QR codes on the fly. So it's a picture that you can then put on your screen as if it's an app. And it says, I got the shot, and it has the QR code. And anyone who doubts it can scan the QR code from your phone. It takes you to vaccinationregistry.org, where you see the original paper version of your vaccination card. That would convince anybody.
I agree that it would work.
So I'm just thinking,
I think it has to go this way, though.
Okay.
Because of the legal implications.
Oh, yeah. This is for entertainment purposes only, John. I think we're safe.
I don't think you need to go. I don't think you need to do that.
I think the QR code is important.
The QR code would be everything you said is perfect, except the basis.
Okay.
And the basis doesn't need to be for entertainment purposes, because then it's really, people will figure that out too quick. This is the only way this should be done, and this is a legitimate way it can be done. It's a legal way it can be done, and they would go. This is exactly what you have. The same thing, same URL, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's voluntary. You voluntarily put this information on because of HIPAA rules. You have to yourself voluntarily say whether or not, and it's an honesty program, whether or not you've had the vaccine, when you got it, where you got it from, go into the registry voluntarily with this information that you have provided voluntarily.
Which we have no knowledge of, just your voluntary.
We have nothing to do with it.
We can't even ask you. It's HIPAA. We can't ask you if you've had a shot or not.
People voluntarily say they got the vaccine.
Yes.
And a paperwork is generated.
Yes.
Boom.
QR codes.
Done.
And it's something you can stick right on your phone, vaccinationregistry.org. If anyone wants to build that application, I'll point the DNS to it.
We'll help out.
Meanwhile, there is some other interesting vaccine news. Daily Mail, take it for what it's worth, in the United Kingdom. They report on an interesting study amongst 40 male patients. It turns out injecting men with progesterone reduces the severity of COVID-19. So guys, get in line. Get your progesterone on. There was let's see, what was this? I know it's really funny. There was another thing here. Yeah. For people who are getting tested. We got a note from Sir Bill in Osaka about the Japanese gargling.
Yes, let's read that.
And which one of our other producers said, the Japanese don't get, in fact, their numbers just came out. Their death rate went down in 2020. Less people died than in 2019 in Japan. How does that work? Sir Bill says, I worked in a power plant outside Tokyo for a couple of months back in 2017. It was January until March time frame, so flu season. Every day during the safety meeting, they would mention how many people had the flu and reminded us to gargle and wash our hands. They had a dispenser of Japanese Listerine in the bathroom and a ton of little cups. These were temporary offices / bathrooms for the power plant outage. So even so, it was a full bathroom, not porta-johns. They even had the full Japanese electric toilets. So that sounds like they have some information we don't. And then another producer sent me an article, New York Times article from 1971. And there was, and you may remember this, I don't. I was, 71, I was probably just about moving to the Netherlands. The Federal Trade Commission today accused the maker of Listerine mouthwash of falsely claiming that the product cured, prevented, or lessened colds and sore throats. So early on, this is an early big pharma move where someone didn't like what they were claiming about the common cold. The statement, kills germs by millions on contact, represents, contrary to the fact, that the ability of Listerine to kill germs is of medical significance in the prevention. So in 1977, Listerine, after, so what is this now? It's 6 years of fighting this, had to agree to the following. In its next $10 million worth of advertisements, which at the time was quite a bit, actually, the makers of Listerine mouthwash must tell consumers that the product, quote, will not help prevent colds or sore throats or lessen their severity. And they must have done that. They must have done that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because Listerine, if you look at the ingredients and everything that goes on with it, and it's been around for 100 years, and so it's pretty much a patent medicine, you know, like aspirin.
Yeah.
Does all that.
Yeah, but they weren't allowed to say it.
And if you think about the way they do the testing, when you get back in that part of the throat, way in the back there's a reason you want to get back there by gargling. Because I don't gargle anymore, but I used to gargle. Gargling would, you know, force some of the Listerine around into the back areas there where there may be some bacteria viruses. Interesting. That would, the big pharma move. They're just practicing.
Early.
No, can't have that. No, can't prove it.
The big pharma move in the Netherlands. Of course, I'm keeping a close eye on it. My daughter still has curfew, and everyone's pretty depressed over there. And again, you had the cops beating old people, spraying them like bugs. Dutch people can't. They are in shock. I think a lot of them have PTSD. They don't understand. This is not Holland. This is not how it's supposed to work. And now the inspection, the Health and Human Services inspectors are warning that we have come to the knowledge that there are doctors prescribing hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. We are coming to find you. This is only for hospital use. Even though we have studies saying it works. Oh, no. You cannot prescribe that outside of the hospital.
Blister pack in India, Goa in particular.
$2.
Which is a bunch of ivermectin, some zinc, and some couple other pills of other sorts. For $2.
$2.
This is the problem. I mean, every time we got to keep mentioning the numbers. $2. Ivermectin is a drug that's long since out of patent. Is used as a dog and horse wormer.
Yeah.
It has a lot of uses. That people who have rosacea, they use the cream on their face and it wipes it out. My wife has rosacea. She's always been fighting with having to take antibiotics and everything else for it. A lot of women have rosacea, especially after you have a couple of kids for some reason.
Yeah.
And the ivermectin cream, which you can get from anywhere for nothing, just wipes it out.
Yep, that's right. Everybody should have a tube.
Dogs are people, too.
Well, it's getting real good here. We now have more stories of COVID dogs who can, well, not COVID dogs, but dogs who can detect coronavirus, or someone who has COVID, I should say. Thailand has successfully trained dogs to sniff out COVID-19 in seconds. Then we have a new TV show, which is coming on very soon. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's one of your favorite series.
BDU, Biodetection Unit, COVID K9.
That's right. COVID K9 is on the case, going to sniff out the COVIDs anywhere you are. But here's what I can't place. The same time we hear that dogs can detect COVID, now we have this is from Science Magazine, major coronavirus variant found in pets for the first time. So which is it? Are they great at sniffing it out and detecting it, or are they passing it on to people? Does the dog get it and then give it to someone and say, "Roof, he's got it"? I don't think you can have it both ways. Texas A&M University detected the B117 variant in a cat and a dog from the same home.
I think they're just grasping at straws.
Grasping at straws. Regardless, one of these days we'll really learn what this mRNA medical device is, which is cloaked as a vaccine. It is by definition not a vaccine. I put all the informed consent. You know, in the United States, the law on informed consent is unreadable. That's why I put it in the show notes. It's just crazy what constitutes informed consent. And as far as I can tell, we've not come anywhere close, but there's all kinds of exceptions, etc. So what exactly does mRNA do? And for this, maybe we just go back to a little over a year ago. It was the Axel Springer Awards. It was a very odd award show, and I think it was really just a television show built around getting Elon Musk on the television show. Very futuristic, and they spent a lot of money, typical. I think Axel Springer, isn't he the media mogul? Isn't that why?
We're like Springer?
Yeah, I think it's Springer, Axel Springer. Isn't that the media company?
If it's the same guy, sure.
Yeah, it's in Germany. So they invite Elon on, and they're talking about his futuristic stuff, his Starlink and his Neuralink and you name it. And then Elon starts talking about mRNA. mRNA, which we've only really learned about since Dr. Bill explained to us that how it works, and Dr. Fauci and everyone says it's great. But here's what Elon Musk said about it just a year ago.
I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs on the medical front, particularly around synthetic mRNA. You can basically do anything with synthetic RNA, DNA. It's like a computer program. So, I think with effort, that's not too crazy. You could probably stop aging, reverse it if you want. You can basically do it. You can turn someone into a freaking butterfly if you want with the right DNA sequence. So, caterpillars do it.
So you could basically turn a person into a butterfly with mRNA. Now, I'm sure he's exaggerating a little bit, but when he says it's like a software program, I've heard others say it's the operating system for the human body. I don't think people understand what's going on.
Well, we don't know. He's not a doctor.
He does know. No, he's not. He's not a rocket scientist either. We got to realize these people, and Gates is in the same league. Superstar business guy. Really knows how to get the right people to do the work and bring them together and make a company happen. And he can do it over and over again, Musk. And Gates is no slouch in that regard. Only he's decided to go into a slightly different direction, but still management. And he doesn't know jack shit about anything except making the company bigger and making money. The endowment of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has never gone down. Where's the money going? No, it
keeps getting bigger.
It's interesting. Well, they invest and they make money on their scams. That's what happens.
It's just a new way of. Somewhere along the line, Bill, a light bulb, boing, went off over his head. Said, with one of these foundations, you can make a lot more money than you can with a corporation, and people like you.
I'd like to.
He's been on television 10 times more than he's ever been when he was the head of Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, he drew the short straw, just like Soros. These are the guys in the elites. Like, all right, who's gonna go tell everybody? Gates, your turn. And hey, who's gonna disrupt countries with a little bit of cash? George, you go for it. You got to think it's that way. These guys aren't. They're working for somebody. They're not the top of the list. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's more like a cell. You just kind of work on your own, and you're doing the right thing.
There's no meeting.
There's taking orders from anyone.
There's no backroom secret handshake.
I think so. It's just like, You get invited to the right parties, and then you're doing the right thing. Unlike us.
Yeah, no parties for us.
We don't get invited to any parties.
I got...
well, you used to.
Oh, well, back in the day, sure. I have enough memories. That's good for me. It's all kind of repetitive after a while. I'd like to talk about this Asian, because this is, besides the variants in the wild, we tried to start off with the Asian stuff, which was totally co-opted. Just to revisit, we had a guy who shot up multiple massage parlors. 6 of the 8 killed were Asian women, even though the guy said this was about my sex addiction, and this is what he told the cops.
Yeah,
it was immediately spun as a racial killing, and then
they had to make it racial because they got this. They're promoting, like you said earlier, they're promoting this Asia thing.
Yeah,
and the media is the one pushing it. I never noticed it much.
Well,
but I do have the original reports that I promised to play last show.
Yeah, let's do that. And I just want to point out that the president and vice president, they hopped on. Well, the president tried to get in the plane, and they flew off to Georgia, to Atlanta right away to do a whole big, oh my God, it's white supremacists against Asians. I feel your pain. They totally went and jacked that up.
I clipped it.
And there's, okay. Well, let's play that because this is important.
I don't want to play Biden's clip. I'm going to play these. And the reason is because we do have to discuss an aspect of this the media will not discuss. And that is a phenomenon amongst white men.
Yeah, I have this.
Called yellow fever, or Asian flu.
Mm-hmm.
And it refers, and I personally know 2 guys that suffered, or they enjoyed it like this. And one of them was the great publisher, who was a friend of mine, Felix Dennis.
Oh my goodness. Is he still around? Is he dead?
No, he died of throat cancer in 2014, I believe.
He was a wacky guy.
He was a great guy. But Felix Dennis, and I always noticed this because when he did one of his send-offs, when they sold Mac User to, they sold it to
Ziff.
They sold the Ziff, and then that was the first sale, and then the second sale it went off to someplace. But I was at one of the parties in New York where Felix was there, and he was with one of the most amazing looking Asian women I've ever seen. But he was always with somebody like that, and Guy Cuny, another departed famous writer, who was really good friends with Felix, he told me once that Felix said to him that he'd never in his life want to ever have sex with a white woman.
No other.
So he was in that. He had this thing about Asian women. Another guy, a friend of mine who teaches art, was also had the same phenomenon. And this guy in Atlanta had this problem, and it upset him so much that he felt obliged to start shooting up to places, these massage parlors where I guess there was some servicing going on. But the media doesn't want to talk about this at all.
Well, and thank you, because I think it's important that people know about this phenomenon. The way it's brought on MSNBC, because I've been watching, is Asian women are hypersexualized, and I said it's not that cut and dry. Yellow fever is a thing. I totally agree. Just like jungle fever is a thing. So you can't use any of those terms. That can't be discussed.
You can't use the terms to. And the reason they want to back you off these terms because it's a way of explaining things that they don't want explained.
It's very simple if you just say it. But no, didn't Felix Dennis have a book about how he did it or something? I think I read that book.
I think he had a couple books out, but he also got the problem with Felix is that he was addicted to these Asian women. He was also addicted to crack cocaine.
Well, that's a bad combo.
No kidding. So Felix almost died from crack cocaine, and then he got off of it and became kind of a born again guy in terms of like, how'd I get through that? But then somehow along the way ended up with throat cancer, probably from smoking hot crack cocaine.
Here it is. How to Get Rich. That's the one I read.
How to Get Rich. He got rich. Yeah, man.
He was Maxim Magazine was his. That's what I remember. Maxim Magazine. That was classic.
Well, he's the one who invented what was called the Laddie Boy magazine, and I never knew that term until I was visiting with a magazine distributor in Asia who lived in Australia, and I didn't know they were called Laddie Boy magazines, but Felix invented them.
Stop. Who else do we know who likes Asian women and crack cocaine? Hunter Biden.
Oh, that's right.
Uh-huh.
No, so it's not a good reason to defer. No, it's about racism. So let's play these two clips and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But and here's how far I got. I'll play clip 1, which is the Massage Murders 1. This is the PBS report.
The suspect, who confessed to a shooting spree at 3 spas in the Atlanta area, was charged today with multiple counts of murder. 8 people were killed. The attacks have prompted greater anger and fear within the Asian American community in Georgia and around the country. Stephanie Tsai begins with this report.
The mass shooting of 6 Asian women at their place of work and 2 other white victims is reverberating around the country. The full motive behind the attacks is still unclear.
We are very early in this investigation. Even though we have made an arrest, there's still a lot more work to be done.
21-year-old Robert Aaron Long, now in custody and charged with murder and assault, has admitted to the shootings. Officials in Georgia who are investigating the case with the help of the FBI said he frequently visited massage parlors in the past and denied his attacks were racially motivated.
He does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
You know, I was thinking about the sheriff. Was it the sheriff or the chief of police? That's not very typical that they give all that information out right away. So I think it was a very deliberate move to get that out there and say, hey, this is not racial. And someone, thank God, someone decided to do that, because typically, like, motivations, and they'll just run rampant. But even when this was the first thing we heard about it, you saw the president and the vice president often talking in Atlanta about, Asian racism, hate for Asian hurt. It's disgusting.
I know, it's almost as though they're promoting it.
No, they are promoting it.
And the thing is, they always like to blame Trump, and it always goes back to, Trump, because he called it the Chinese flu. This is what triggered it all. This is their argument.
Yeah, I know.
And one of the talk show guys I listened to made a point of saying, hey, did you notice that when the Asian Student Association and the Asian students in Harvard sued Harvard for discrimination because the Asian students are smarter at Harvard than everybody else, and they're getting kicked out? Trump took their side.
Yeah.
Trump's a big supporter of smart Asians.
January 6th were a lot of Asian Americans, because we know our producers were reporting, and we have Asian American producers. Go figure. A lot of young ones, too, who are very upset with the current situation.
So here's part 2 of this stuff. And this is, they bring in an expert, a Chinese woman, who's obviously a social justice warrior type. And you can see when I just said, I'm not listening to this crap anymore, because they are not going to pay any attention to the cops or anybody else. This is racism. And here's the example they got me to say, these people are insane.
For more on the reaction on the ground, we're joined by Stephanie Cho. She's the executive director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice. It's a national civil rights group. She runs their Atlanta office. I need to ask you about some things we've learned from the authorities. They held a press conference earlier to update on the suspect's arrest. They say the suspect told police that he had a sexual addiction. He launched these attacks in a form of vengeance. And they say that the suspect, despite targeting Asian women and the majority of his victims being Asian women, denied a racial motivation, but that they haven't ruled out bias as a motivation. What is your reaction to that?
I think that's absolutely untrue.
I saw this. That's untrue. I got the CBS Evening News version of it that plays it all the way through.
President Biden tonight with a forceful call to end violence against Asian Americans.
We have to change our hearts. Hate can have no safe harbor in America. It must stop. Too many Asian Americans have been walking up and down the streets and worrying. They've been attacked, blamed, scapegoated, and harassed. They've been verbally assaulted, physically assaulted, killed.
Earlier, the president spent more than 90 minutes meeting privately with Asian American activists and legislators, including State Senator Michelle Au, who had a message for Mr. Biden.
The Asian community is scared. We are living in terror. We have been for the past year at least.
And this latest incident here in Atlanta is just taking place on top of a culture of fear of violence.
Reported attacks on Asian Americans in the past year jumped to almost 4,000 amid the pandemic.
This recent surge has been driven by the racist political rhetoric of the former president and many of his colleagues.
Kung Flu, yeah.
Reports show anti-Asian sentiment on social media increased dramatically after former President Trump first used the hashtag Chinese virus last spring.
Orange man bad.
Yeah, so it's clearly because of Trump, and if you might have caught some of the headlines that said, it's 1,900% increase, Trump. Luckily, we have producers within the Gitmo Nation who are very active in helping us understand what's going on. These are the AMPs, the Asian Millennial Producers. And Wing Mei, who I read a couple pieces of feedback from on earlier shows, and she's a millennial. I've learned that Wang is pronounced Wang. Wing Mei Wang. So Wing Mei Wang, she says, wow, this is kind of crazy what's going on. I suggest you take a look at a little bit of Kangmin Lee. Kangmin Lee, I think we might have played a clip from him earlier. He's a YouTuber. And he has the statistics on the Asian hate. So this is coming from our Asians who are telling us what we should be listening to.
So now they've screamed about white supremacy. What are the actual stats surrounding the surge in anti-Asian hate crimes? So one commonly cited statistic is that anti-Asian hate crimes have jumped 1,900% nationwide. But it's misleading. It was actually only for New York. And according to the NYPD data, where it went from 1 Asian hate crime in 2019 to 20 in 2020. But for the whole nation, 20. Here are some stats. On the day Stop AAPI Hate released a report documenting nearly 3,800 instances of anti-Asian hate during the pandemic, nearly 70% against Asian women. A man killed 8 in shootings targeting Asian businesses. 6 of the 8 killed were Asian women. So this is extremely misleading. So this is true that there were 1,800 incidents of anti-Asian hate, but let me pull up this graph for you guys. And this is according to Stop AAPI Hate. Only 11% of that, which is still a lot, it's over 400 incidents of physical assault, but only 11% of those 3,800 were physical assault. Most of them were just verbal harassment, name calling, and avoidance and shunning.
So, wow, big increase to 20 there. Now, by the way, this AAPI, which is Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, y'all got to stop with that bullshit too. That's like black and brown communities. That doesn't sound right to me. The Pacific Islanders, they're way out there. They got other issues. It's very different. There's no Trump voters there. In fact, as Kangmin Lee breaks it down, where exactly has this increase taken place in incredible increase in violence?
And according to VOA News, hate crimes targeting Asians spiked 150% in major U.S. cities. So we see here on this graph, this was last updated March 1st. Most of them happened in New York and then LA, Boston, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Cleveland. Notice how these are all Democrat cities and they're all run by Democrats. And they all have the most progressive policies. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So then, we know that there was a spike in anti-Asian hate crimes. And we know that there isn't 3,800 instances of violent crime, but actually only 11% of that. But who's committing these crimes? Unfortunately, there isn't clear data compiled for this for 2020 and 2021. But the most recent data we have is from the DOJ Bureau of Justice Statistics. So I'm going to pull up this chart here. And we see, let's look at the last line. So for Asians, there were 182,230 instances of violent crime. And 24.1% of them were from white people and 27.5% of them were from black people.
And that, my friends, is science. So it's a hoax built on top of something that didn't happen. And they're rolling it out up to the level of the executive office of the country.
Yeah, the president and vice president of the United States.
Bunch of assholes.
That's how pathetic this is.
Yeah, it's no, you know what's pathetic? Here's what's pathetic. So of course, we have the AAPI crowd running around going, yeah, we're oppressed. We need give us some attention. Because the boba liberals, we've learned about them. The boba liberals love that. But other groups are going, hey, wait a minute. We got to get in on this train. Diversity is not just black and brown and AAPI. No. Back on the stage, Linda Sarsour.
That's right. You are at a train station, standing at a bus stop, walking in the street, and you see someone saying something that you don't agree with, or assaulting someone, or trying to harm someone, intimidate someone. Stand up. Say something. Do not be a bystander.
Yep, we got to get the Muslims in there. The Muslims need some attention. This is not going to last if everyone is making noise about the attention they need. It's very childish, and it will not end well. And unfortunately, the only guy who said something about what happened happens to be my representative from District, I think it's District 6 here in Texas, Chip Roy. Let me just boost his audio a little bit. It seems like he's going to come through a little soft. Chip Roy, nice Texas boy, but what an idiot.
We believe in justice, right? There's old sayings in Texas about, find all the rope in Texas and get a tall oak tree. We take justice very seriously, and we ought to do that. Round up the bad guys. That's what we believe.
Yeah. Oh, dude. The old saying, it's not going to fly anymore, you political dweeb. How long? Get a longer rope and hang him up. No, that doesn't. That doesn't conjure up any images, does it? Now, douchebag.
What a dummy.
Oh, people are so stupid. Unbelievable. Anyway, New York Times is on this, confronting violence against Asians. Biden says we cannot be complicit. It's just on and on and on. There's even what the police captain said. I didn't go for the clips on this one, but the headline was, the captain said, well, he just was having a bad day. But, of course, they left the whole preamble where this was literally what he said. But that gets played as just kind of an off
some snide
joke. Yeah, a little joke. And then
so let's make fun of let's put the police in a bad light, too, since we're at it.
My favorite, and I want some feedback from the AMPs, the Asian Millennial Producers, the yellow box trend. Please tell me this is a bad idea. Have you seen the yellow box trend?
I have no. Do
you remember Black Lives Matter, what everybody did to virtue signal? Turn your avatar to black. Yes, black. My homepage would be black. Now they're doing it yellow. It truly is about color for these a-holes. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's right. The blue. Remember, there was the word blue years ago, and then there was green. They had to have green. You had to make your avatar green. So when
sure, for Earth Day. Yeah.
Now the current one, I think the one they're doing today is the mask. You put a mask on you in your avatar.
Oh, so no, that's been going for a year. Hello? No, that's been...
Yeah, you got a mask, and if you have a cartoon character for your...
Yeah, but the yellow is so...
A mask on the... Yeah, but now you make them yellow.
But the yellow is so insulting. It's just so insulting. You reduce people to a color, just like the black was insulting. Black is a brand. It's a marketing term. Now they're trying to do the same with yellow. We think... Oh, here we go.
We got to have equity for our black and brown and yellow brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, what? For our black and brown and yellow and Muslim, what? For our black and brown and yellow and red and Muslim.
It's just all colors of the rainbow, you shitheads. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so ready for vacation. John, how are you? Are you ready for vacation?
I'm going to do a show while you're gone.
What show?
I'm going to do Edwin Black's podcast.
Nice. Oh, that would be cool. I had a thought, by the way. I was thinking of doing the best end of show songs for for the past year.
Yeah.
That may be a legal issue.
What, a lot of them, most of them parodies?
Yeah, but even parodies you can't just publish, you see. That's why I never put the end of show mixes are never available in the show notes.
One of these before.
I know. But now we're a little bigger target. Just being super careful.
Because the worst that could happen, you have to take it down.
No, that's not the worst that can happen. If you have physical, believe me, if someone wants to go after you and you've made a physical copy of these songs, and even with a parody, you still have to pay royalties on the composition if you're using it in certain ways. You can't get around that. You just, you don't need permission to do that, but you do have to pay. And so
why don't you just do the mixes then, and just leave the song parodies out?
But every single mix has elements of other songs and stuff in it. Almost every one.
I think you can't argue fair use.
Okay, we'll do that, and then you argue fair use. Yeah. Hey, call Greg.
If you don't want to do it, that's fine with me. Well, we do have another thing, but
I'm just very cautious. I'm very cautious.
Well, then don't do it. Just forget it. Just be cautious. When in doubt, leave it out. So why don't you just we'll run your stories, and we'll run my global warming stuff, and then we'll work on a third one for later use, which would be the COVID wrap.
Yeah. Okay, good one. Did you get new stock in? Did you get new cans? Did you get new cans, new stock? Did you get new supply?
No. I have a screw top thing. It doesn't make any noise.
Are you doing this on purpose? You don't want to open a can anymore?
No,
because
I
it's
don't.
Too much fun.
This is just the two shows that I don't have a can to open.
Well, in that case, let me thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in Cicada Brood 10, ladies and gentlemen, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry, but also, in the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the well, and the dames and nights out there.
And we have a big hearty in the morning to the trolls in the troll room, noagendastream.com. Hands up, trolls. Let me count you for a second. We've got 2088, 2,000 plus. That's a good one for a Sunday. Gotta love it. Still under the max, but good. Trolling wrong. Now, these are trolls. And if you're a troll, if you self-identify as a troll, please feel free to go over to noagendastream.com. You can pop right into the troll room there and listen to the live stream. It's always live, so we have shows before, after, during. It's incredible. And the cool thing is that during a lot of these live shows, you can really make a difference with what you, thank you, Nick the Rack, with what you are feeding back. Sometimes the best material comes from there. Now, you can no longer request any invite, but soon we'll open up again. We purge some of the older accounts. NoAgendaSocial.com is part of the Federated Mastodon Network, or just it's a Mastodon server on the Federated Network. Anybody can start one of these servers. It's very cheap to buy one off the rack, like $5 a month. You can have it for your friends, your family, your group, your podcast, whatever it is. And you can federate, and you can still participate in all the conversations with the human resources at noagendasocial.com. Gitmo.life is one that closely federates. And there are others who are setting. You can always read there. And if you have any Mastodon account except on a-hole services that block us, you'll be able to follow at John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com and at Adam at noagendasocial.com. And then we want to thank
John C. Dvorak.
Didn't I say John C. Dvorak? I'm sorry. John C. Dvorak. Why not just John at noagendasocial.com? Would you like that?
I don't care. It's not that important to me.
But you still like the No Agenda Social, though? You're still having fun?
I go there after I post. If I get into or want to say something poignant, I'll put it up there. I don't even do any discussions on Twitter anymore.
No.
Occasionally I'll answer a question if somebody comes up.
You know, I am so shadow banned on Twitter. I mean, like,
so why do you even waste your time over there?
Well, all I do is reply to people. If I reply to someone, then they get the reply. But no one gets any. There's nothing for me to really post per se. Yeah, it's just it's a waste of time. And in fact, that's it. It's a damn waste of time. Why go over there and fight with everybody? No, instead, let's sit here and let's thank the artist for episode 1330. We titled that one The Catalyst Converter. Had quite a conversation over how to spell catalyst, and we settled on CATTLE-LYST. And the art was, I mean, it was just so perfect. When we saw it, we knew it. we knew that Lotte Lene's butt sniff, we knew that would be the one.
And then a couple of notes. One, we both agreed that it looks like Biden who's bending over.
Biden's gait, for sure.
And then it looks as if Darren O'Neill got irked about our proclamation in the middle of the show that we're going to pick this art.
Yes. Now here's the mistake we made, which we probably shouldn't do again.
No, we won't.
We accident. Well, it's not. I mean, okay. So it's a twofer because we have artists submitting artwork during the show, and then we get to the segment, we go to the art generator, and then you see all the new stuff. I'm already seeing stuff here from CSB, Darren O'Neill, Lotte Lene. So I'm just going to scroll by it because that's exactly what happened the last time we saw the butt-sniffing COVID-19 dog, and we both loved it, and we were tainted. And since we loved it so much, the artists, a lot of them just went, like Darren O'Neill just went a big sad face. Sorry for the art. So that's not a good idea to call it anymore.
Yeah, we won't.
There were some other interesting
It was a mistake
ones,
when we did it.
Yeah.
I did it. I'm the one who did it.
No, we're not blaming anybody per se. There was
Darren also had a nice cute little piece called Sniff for Freedom with a little dog.
Cute dog, yeah.
Cute dog.
And he had the other one too. He had a lot of different dogs, and they were quite nice, but not as funny as Lotte Lene's.
No, that one. That piece was simple.
And Comic Strip Blogger, you can stop doing farts. We're not going to choose butt farts. He's butt obsessed.
He's got a button thing going on.
What is it with Comic Strip Blogger and butts? He draws a lot of them. There's another one. Yeah, another one today with a butt. He wants.
So you use the Media Circus Mountain J thing with the foot.
That's isn't that beautiful?
That's a nice piece.
Yeah, I use that for the pre-stream 13.
Well, I used for the newsletter. I went back and used a piece I really liked, which was the cuckoo clock with Biden.
Biden popping out. Yeah, I saw that.
And that was done by Fish Goyle.
Fish Goyle.
And I ran that in the search engine to see if there was that image was anywhere. And I think it was like he drew the whole thing from scratch.
Really? Was that
Fish Goyle's only done 3 pieces.
Was it in the Evergreens? Where'd you find it? In the Evergreens?
No, it's right on today's page. It's right at the bottom. It's Biden coming out of a cuckoo clock.
Oh yeah, there he is.
It's a cartoon.
There he is.
Yeah,
that does look completely original, hand drawn.
Well, I'm guessing it is because I
you used it, so you vetted it. You vetted it.
It's just a striking piece.
Yeah. Very nice. All of these can be seen, by the way, in the Podcast 2.0 compatible apps. Gosh, we have so many now. I think Podverse, Android and iOS, they just added the chapters, so you can see that. I'm seeing people getting the chapter images change on their watches. I was able to find that clip of me talking about Biden stumbling just from someone saying, here's the term. I used Podfriend. It has a transcript. Click the search button. Boom, got it. This is game changing. Anyway, that's me just promoting some other shit that will make the world better. Thank you very much, Lotte Lene, for bringing us that artwork. Well deserved. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the work that our art producers do. Everything is all the stuff you guys do is appreciated. Some's just not appropriate for public consumption. But in this case, anybody can go check it out. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com, or it's whizzing by on your screen right now. It's part of our value for value model. Often discussed. Not many people have been able to replicate it. That's because they're afraid to take that big leap. It's taken us 14 years and we're still here, and we have still been able to support our families. And that is because of all of Gitmo Nation. Time, talent, or treasure. We love to thank the executive and associate executive producers as far up front as possible. And who do we thank for today? Bringing it in for the episode 1331, the Palindrome.
And they all want to be thanked, including Anonymous, who's at the top of the list again.
The same Anonymous every time.
They don't want to really be thanked. But it had nothing to do with anything, but he's 1313.33, so there's a number in there. And Anonymous writes, hey, team, first-time donor, no de-douching. I am saving this from my $33,000 donation compilation or completion milestone. I'd like to propose the following. A 3-part Best of COVID BS series. Well, we can do that. We're thinking about it. When the two of you take time off. Maybe initial indications, pre-vaccine, post-vaccine. We need to summarize the ongoing events. So, awarded by John and Adam.
Hold on a second. So what he's suggesting is a 3-part Best of COVID series so we can when we take our time off. How long do you think it'll take to do that? I mean, that's not just going to happen. It's going to take longer than the whole vacation.
We already have, for this go around, we already have it's in the can. We have a global warming best of and also a Adam stories.
Right.
So we can work on the other thing, but it's going to be tougher because for a number of reasons.
But, however, if you want to donate $33,000, we can probably have it done in a week.
No, we'll start tomorrow. We're done.
Consider it done. Well, he's trying to put this together he says, so additional parts may be needed as we continue in this brave new world. I'm willing to put $233 towards the producer/knighthood crusade for the first 3 parts awarded by John and Adam. Thoughts? Very difficult. Maybe some of our other producers would match the contribution or contribute this quest pool. Any who's it. For now, please knight me Anonymous Driver of the Gap, Colorado reference. Until next time, by the way, the wife and I are in Mexico on vacation. If you want a boots-on-the-ground report of our travels, let me know. Short of it, masks at some resorts and not others. And we appreciate it, Anonymous. And although you it's not really the episode number, we got to put them up there. The 131333, it's got all kinds of codes in there. And typically the way these best of shows work is some brave soul takes it upon themselves to put this together and just shows up with it. It's never worked on spec. We used to have Sir Ramsey Kane do it when his boss was paying him to do it. Whatever happened to that?
With the new searcher and the organizational structure that's underlying all of our clips, it's actually pretty easy to throw together the global warming one. So I think I could do a 2-part COVID one pretty easily. 3 parts, I don't think so.
Well, Bingit.io is where anybody can go and search through all the show clips and the show notes. It's a great resource. Bingit.io.
Just Bing it. So that was Anana. He has no requests, so let's go with Sir Goldplate next, $1,000 from Berwyn, Illinois. Don't say my last name. Use my night name, Sir Goldplate.
You got it.
That's
all right, Sir Goldplate.
And
Thank you very much.
Note.
Yeah, his note is clear.
Very good. We need more of those.
Yeah.
$1,000. Thank you. Peter Weinrich in Marlton, New Jersey, 365.24. I was smacked in the mouth while watching the Joe Rogan podcast. Rogan podcast.
Rogan donation.
Well, I believe that I have always been possessed. Possessed a shrunken amygdala. Your podcast produces better shrinkage and stability than medication.
Okay.
Or meditation, sorry. No, medication. I'd say medication.
You might have to increase the font.
He needs a de-douching and a goat karma.
Okay. He was talking about providing better medication.
You've been de-douched.
Oh, what happened? There we go.
You've got karma.
Dylan Van Allen, $333 from Parts Unknown. I have no note from him. At least nothing came in under the subject line donation.
I have it. He sent it late this morning. Dylan Van Allen, $333. Please de-douche me, he says.
You've been de-douched.
I am a millennial douchebag who has listened to the show for almost 5 years after looking for something that could make sense of the first Trump election season. I was very confused why the media and my friends were calling him and the people that supported him Nazis, especially when I agreed with most things he said. So I went looking for answers and eventually found no agenda. I love you guys so much for exposing the media and the globalist lies in a fun and entertaining way. Yes, we are for entertainment purposes only. And I honestly don't know what I would do without you, making sense of some of the things going on over the last 5 years. Time has really flown by with so much happening in my life, but now that I'm in a better position to donate, I hope to be a knight soon and start having meetups for the Lehigh Valley area. I'd like to call up Matt, Tom, and Linda as douchebags. Matt. Douchebag. And Tom. Douchebag. And Linda. Douchebag. I would also like to call out Billy and Spud from the War Mode podcast as douchebags as well. Douchebag. Besides the de-douching, I could use little podcast jobs karma from the greatest podcast in the universe. Thanks for all the amazing work. And thank you very much, Dylan. Let us know what you're thinking.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
All right. Aaron Hearn in Yuba City, California, also $333. This is funny because we've had, over the last month or two, we've had 333.33 galore.
Yeah.
Galore.
It's
And now we have none. I love it. Just boom.
Yeah.
Aaron Hearn, 333.00 in Yuba City. First time donation. Found you guys through Rogan. Oh, Rogan.
Rogan donation.
Rogan and / Twitter. I will also be interviewing on Tuesday for a podcast producer position at a newer.com. Adam's familiar with that scene.
A podcast producer sounds like no money and a lot of work.
I'm reminded of that. I guess they took that TV show off the air. God Friended Me. And it was about a guy who was a podcast producer.
The startup. Guy. Yeah. No, I don't know that.
Yeah, he's a black guy. And his first couple of episodes of the show, he's like, oh, I'm worried about getting this producership for this podcast. And they hired him, and he came on board, and he was also a podcaster, I guess, because he was on the mic. Seemed unusual for a producer, as far as I'm concerned. And he kept getting messages from God.
I don't know the show at all.
And they pulled the show.
Well, because maybe no one watched it?
No, it was pretty popular.
Huh.
Anyway, he's getting a newer.com. That's the name of it, newer.com. Or manure.com is probably what it is. But besides the de-douching, I could use a little job podcast karma for the greatest podcast on earth.
Ooh.
That's a new title. Thanks for all the amazing work.
No, we'll do that for you.
You've been de-douched.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
Somebody go out there and check
karma.
Check and see if there is a manure.com. I think that'd be a good name for it.
Sure, that is
manure.com is probably pretty shitty.
Sure, that's not available.
Sir Carey's Baron of Greater Boston and Draycote, 3/18/21 in Massachusetts. No jingles, no karma. Please add me to the birthday. Yeah, we're doing that. March 18th, Sir Carey's Baron of Greater Boston.
From Soos.
You can read the next one.
From Soos, the Netherlands, 3/13/13. Understanding the palindrome, Sir Lather of Indecision. Oh, no, Priester. We know him well. He's been a supporter of the show for a long time. Sent my palindromic donation for show 1331 through PayPal, hoping that the surging cryptos will not be the exit strategy. No worries yet. For pure egotistical reasons, please just succumb to the idea that the No Agenda show is for life, with permanent reruns in the Rush Limbaugh fashion. Oh, God. Oh, God. No Agenda stream in 2075, still running old episodes. Anyways, in Slave Nation +31, that's their country code, we've just had the general elections that will bring us the Build Back Better coalition, with Mark Rutte increasing his power base. Just another election where the real important issues of the day were ignored, all attention on people, and the tone of the debate. Big winner next to Mark Rutte was former United Nations OPCW head Sigrid Kaag. Yes, a globalist New World Order shill. And it's probably me, but I always think I'm spotting the spook when I see her appearance. Interestingly, Mrs. Kaag was employed by the Dutch Foreign Office in the 90s when she was relieved of her job as a diplomat in the Dutch embassy in Israel after it emerged that she had just gotten married with a senior official in Yasser Arafat's El Fatah cabinet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the person you want running stuff. After being fired by the Dutch Foreign Office, she was employed by the United Nations in the Middle East. Lastly, by the OPCW. Now, these are those are the people who monitor chemical weapons. And were they the ones who had to issue the report that the white helmets was bullshit? I think it was OPCW, right? Anyway,
it seems maybe.
By the
way, I'm using that phrase from now on. It seems maybe.
It seems maybe. After being fired by the Dutch Foreign Office, she was employed by the UN in the Middle East, and lastly, by the OPCW, an organization heavily involved in the Syrian situation. There you go. How does anyone with that pedigree receive security clearance and be installed cabinet in the Netherlands? Well, hello. Moreover, in the run-up to the elections, Ms. Kaag was heavily supported by her party friends in the national public broadcaster with daily airtime and a pure Riefenstahl type of biopic, Leni Riefenstahl, Hitler's biopicker. So the desired outcome of the election is there and very much geared towards Klaus Schwab's agenda for 2030. Yes, we'll be talking about in a bit. The sheeple have chosen, off to a brave new world it is. Well, I guess we're not going to hear much from Onno Priester after this one. Are we celebrating the coming dystopia? As we are celebrating the coming dystopia, nevertheless, I have 2 entries for the birthday list as my 2 eldest human resources to the birthday list, please. The 2nd and 5th of April, respectively. My eldest sharing the 5th with John, if I'm not mistaken. As an aside, I saw that I share my birthday with Adam's daughter, Christina. Oh, very good, on the 27th of August. Winds up, anywho, thank you for your courage. Stay safe, stay warm. Kind regards, your Sir Lather of Indecision, Onno Priester. Thank you very much, Onno. And that is a good rundown. Now we don't have to play any clips of what's going on there.
No, it doesn't sound like it. That's a good rundown.
Joshua Simmers from In the Morning, Okinawa.
This note is too long. But, unfortunately, being too long, he is reporting in from Okinawa.
That's why I think it's good to read. 30585. In the Morning from Okinawa, Japan, where we only have 8,618 total COVID cases and just 122 COVID categorized deaths. The benefits of living on a very small island and not kneeling at the M5M altar. Today I'm donating 30585 because that's the current exchange from 33,333 Japanese yen. Sweet. I was hit in the mouth last summer from my friend Jason. As we were complaining about the craziness back in the good old USA, the topic of M5M came up, and he told me to listen to No Agenda. He said, Adam Curry's a host. And, of course, I asked, wait a minute, that dude from MTV? Jason still remains a gigantic douchebag. He has yet to donate to the best podcast in the universe, but he recently bought a boat, not some little dinghy either. His boat is ocean-worthy. He's probably out on it right now becoming more of a douche. I, on the other hand, am using some of my not-so-hard-earned COVID stimulus money to donate to No Agenda for the first time. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
I really can't tell you how much I enjoy the show since I live in the future. I listen on Monday and Friday, which have become my 2 favorite days of the week. After being hit in the mouth by myself, I've been hitting my keeper in the mouth for months. She's Japanese and English. It's her second language. So some of your word class humor goes directly over her head. And recently I was trying to explain the jingles to her, and for some odd reason she said, how did they meet? To which I had no answer. Of all questions she could have asked, why the hell did she ask? Anyways, how did you two meet? Now I want to know. And then he says he loves the value for value model. He uses the same on his Okinawa Karate podcast. And he would like people to subscribe to that. And he is... Let me see. Oh, he wants to get on No Agenda Social. Okay, yeah, we'll get you there as soon as we can. Could use some jobs, Karma. Also would like to hear Fauci wheeze. Did you see that juice? And good night, left nut. And P.S. I'm loving podcasting 2.0, bouncing between Play-A-Pod and Hypercatcher this time. Yeah, I got that. So Fauci wheeze. And what was the other one? Oh, did you see that juice? Where's my juice? And good night, left nut. And did he want a karma to go with that? Was there jobs karma? No, I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Can you see that juice?
Good night, left nut.
There you go. And thank you very much.
I think if you go to one of the show 200s, one of the many show 200s that we've done, you can find out this backstory about everything. Noah Wattenmaker, Sequoia, that's cute, of the Sierra Batholith, $226.20. He says, ITM, I'm cordially inviting No Agenda Nation out to Sequoia National Park in California. Oh, really? Oh, so I have no authority to do so, but come anyway. Come anyways. I'll buy a ton of stuff from the local businesses. Relationship Karma. By the way, that's the curious. I've never been to that national park. It's on the backside of Yosemite.
Wait,
and it's the one that's got the
redwoods,
general, and some of these monster trees. There's two kinds of sequoias. There's the giant, and then there's the coastal. And if you see a coastal like they have on the coast here and all over up and down the whole West Coast, you'd say, well, this is the unbelievably big tree. This thing is a mile wide and it just goes into the skyward beyond, it just goes way up. It's huge. These trees are monsters. But the shorter, stockier, giant sequoias are these huge, wide things that they used to drill tunnels into to you can drive a car through them. Mm-hmm. That's how big they are. And those are all in Sequoia National Park, and I've never been there, and I feel really bad about it.
I have been there. I think with Duke Foley. Grand Duke. I think so.
It's a pain in the ass to get to. You have to go in there from Nevada, pretty much.
Then we weren't there. Then that's...
You probably went to Yosemite.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember now.
I think if you go... I think there may be a route out of Yosemite into this park, but it's just a hard park to get to. Anyway, he wants relationship karma for us single producers.
Yep, you got it.
You've got karma.
And we have JH from Fort Bragg, California. A lot of coastal redwoods up there, that's for sure. $256. I have no note from JH.
Wait a minute. I have a feeling there may... Didn't we have 2 notes? Was that not a JH note? Let me see. No, JW. Got JW. And nope. Okay, that's not it. Don't have it.
And if you're going to send us a note and you don't want to put it into PayPal, which most people do, and they can find a way to do that because it's doable, make sure you put donation on the subject line. That's what we look for. I do sometimes look for the names too, but as JH, I mean, what are you going to search for?
Then we have Sir Wire of the Hidden Jewel, James Pyers. Now, this is a little complicated, so I'm going to see if we can figure out what needs to be done here. He says, the reason for this extra special request is I hit my wife in the mouth over the years, and she has gradually become a No Agenda producer. For my 60th birthday, she made her first attempt at donating. Yes, I remember this. And was trying to give me a shout-out and execute her first self-donation. I have donated to the show on her behalf before for her birthday, anniversary, etc. However, I was dude named Jim for such donation transactions. For the usual reasons, a glitch, her message did not make it on the show, but her $100 donation did. But we don't really read notes under $200.
We don't read $100 notes. Maybe that's the reason.
My special request to the best podcast in the universe is follows. Please read Jasmine's note on show 1331 as intended for 1330, and please bundle her $100 donation. Oh, my God, no. With my 233 donation to make it a 333. This makes sense for the 33 numerology of Sunday's show. That is true. We got 3 here. Please read Jasmine's birthday message below and give me a birthday call out. So here we go. Jasmine Pyers wrote, this donation is a shout out to Jim, James Pyers, a.k.a. Sir Wire of the Hidden Jewel, amazing, hardworking, loving father and husband. He was born on March 19th, 1961, his 60th trip around the sun, and that is from his wife Jasmine and our kids Natalie, Elijah, and Serafina. Please play the jingle Shut Up Slave and the Noodle Gum. It's good to know I have a new version of Shut Up Slave, which was sent to us. As we know, the dictionary, dictionary.com has changed their stance. They will no longer use the term slave since it is dehumanizing, so we have adjusted.
Shut up!
N.
Slave.
I'm gonna shoot you in the face with my noodle gun, you racist piece of shit. I got my pasta Glock locked and loaded.
Pew, pew. Shut up, enslaved.
My final request is to add Jasmine as a dame to the No Agenda Roundtable. Dame Jasmine of the Hidden Jewel, a.k.a. Jasmine Pyers of Escondido. Her damehood can be based on my years of donating above and beyond my knighthood. I should be Duke or something. By now, I will do a full accounting upon your request. As duly knighted member of the No Agenda Roundtable, Sir Wire of Hidden Jewel approves this request. Wow, he's taking all kinds of liberties. He's all over this place. I realize this is an extraordinary request. I thank you both from the bottom of my heart for your humor, drive, your willingness to deconstruct challenging topics, and keep it entertaining, too. The No Agenda Show, saving amygdalas one stem cell at a time. Words cannot explain how valuable the No Agenda Show is to millions of critical thinking human resources like me and my family, because the kids listen too. Love you guys. May God bless Adam and John and family and all the No Agenda producers and listeners. And we look forward to welcoming your dame to the table during today's ceremony. Thank you very much.
It's another mark on the wall toward shortening notes permanently.
Yeah. It's going to get there eventually.
Well, not too many more of those, and that's going to happen. Mr. Jones in Lock Cave, no offense to the fine donor.
No offense at all.
Producer.
No offense at all.
Just that I'll show you a good note. The last note we get today is going to be the example. It's going to be set the stage for a good example. Mr. Jones is up 233.32 from Lock Cave in Pennsylvania. And he says, I cannot believe I was ever row. Cannot believe I was ever row, but it brought me here. You know what that means?
Ronamo, it says. Ronamo.
Ronamo. Okay. But it brought me here. I missed that part. I just skipped over it. Everyone needs to know about the best podcast in the universe. Can I get a Don't Trust China karma? Of course. And the NA flute, if so, someone did recent.
Oh, yes. What is that thing? Ocarino?
The ocarina, yeah.
Ocarina, yeah. Okay, let me see. I have a couple of different versions here. Yes. And China's asshole. And did he want a karma with that or just the ocarina? No, we'll figure it out.
Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
I had one in.
You've got karma.
Justin Hoforth in Huntington Beach, California, 202.
Mm-hmm.
Please accept this donation as my 1 year anniversary since hearing Adam on JRE.
There you go. It is one year.
Rogan donation. Can you please call out my friend Frank as a douchebag?
Sure can.
Douchebag. Jingles, left nut, Fauci wheeze, and all plugged up. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Good night, left nut.
He was plugged up.
Gosh.
Wow, that was a pretty good story.
Yeah, it told the story.
And last on our list is Thomas Hurtado, $200, and his note says gracias.
Now, that's a note, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you roll.
Applause for Mr. Hurtado. Thanks, Thomas. That's our group of associate executive producers for show 1331, a palindrome.
Indeed, and we love our executive and associate executive producers. We appreciate what you do. This is the value for value model. It's very easy. You get value from the show. Doesn't matter. I mean, if you're spending some time listening to it, you're valuing your time towards the show. So bring it back. It could be many things. People do clips, people do artwork, people do stories, people give us information, education, they research stuff, and a lot of people support us financially, and that's the treasure part of the 3 Ts, and it's always great to see some familiar names and new ones, and looking forward to some daming and knighting coming up later on. And if you'd like to learn about how you can help the show for Thursday, just go to our donation page.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you again for your time, your talent, your treasure. The No Agenda Show 1331.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
I was delighted to see that you had pulled China clips, because I watched that hour and 12 minutes of the confrontation between China and the United States. And
well, there's a couple of things about this confrontation.
Yes, may I give you my first observation?
Oh, you just go on. Yes.
Every question or every statement is 15 minutes. You get someone in America saying something, then our translator, then their translator. No, then their guy speaks, and it's like one back and forth is 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I yearn for the days of Trump going, it's going to be great. We're all winners, right? Boom, bam, bing. Sparks.
Those days are over.
Sparks. But this is classic douchebag, John Kerry kind of level international diplomacy that, frankly, I felt our guys, particularly Jake Sullivan, were a bunch of lightweights, and they really overestimated their position. That was my assessment.
Oh, where did you watch it on C-SPAN?
I did. I watched the whole thing on C-SPAN.
Oh, that's no good.
Why?
Because they showed what actually happened.
I know.
Which was that the Chinese came up and they just blasted the crap out of the Blinken and Winken and Nod. And
well, that's not entirely. Hold on, that's not entirely true. The way I saw it is Blinken and Sullivan, the national security advisor, they did their opening statements, and both of them were kind of saying, we got problems with you with the way you treat the Uyghurs.
Yeah. No, they did that 5 minutes. They got their 5 minutes in.
Right. And then, and please note that the United States had just announced new sanctions, and they made reference to this in that hour, that the United States had just made new sanctions against China, which have not been put in place yet, but they thought that was very rude that they had done that on the day that they were traveling to Anchorage for this meeting, which is also quite rude.
It was rude. But the Chinese had prepared 20 minutes, which was then somehow changed to 16 minutes on PBS.
Uh-huh.
Just blasting the crap out of us, calling us murderers and warmongers. It was great.
Yeah. And then,
but that's not the way it played on PBS, because the mainstream media can't really have the Chinese having the one-upsmanship. Now, play this part of this clip, China Meetings PBS 1.
But as Nick Schifrin reports, the talks began with tough and candid words right from the opening moment.
Thank you very much for making the journey to meet with us.
It was supposed to be a short photo op. Secretary of State Tony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, opposite China's top diplomats Yang Jiechi and...
Hold on.
But as
something broke. All right, I'm back, I think.
Now, did you play China Meetings PBS 1 or Blinken 1?
This is China Meetings PBS 1 that I'm playing right now.
Can you play... the problem is I've mislabeled
it.
Things for my point to be made. Can you play Blinken 1?
In China's case, after decades of reform and opening up, we have come a long way in very...
All right. Okay.
Is this the one you want me to play?
I want you to play China Meetings PBS 1.
Okay.
But as Nick Schifrin reports, the talks began with tough and candid words right from the opening moment.
Thank you very much for making the journey to meet with us.
It was supposed to be a short photo op. Secretary of State Tony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan opposite China's top diplomats Yang Jiechi and Wang Yi. But immediately, and over 2.5-hour sessions across 2 days, the U.S. criticized what it considers Chinese misbehavior, the internment of Muslim Uyghurs, the destruction of Hong Kong democracy, increased threats to Taiwan, coercing U.S. allies, including the trial of a Canadian today in secret behind police guard, and cyber attacks.
Each of these actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability. That's why they're not merely internal matters, and why we feel an obligation to raise these issues here today.
In response, Yang used his 2-minute allotment to spend 16 minutes accusing the U.S. of hypocrisy.
Many people... Hold on a second. This bullshit 2-minute allotment. Blinken and Sullivan did at least 10 minutes.
The whole thing is bullshit.
Yang used his 2-minute allotment to spend 16 minutes accusing the U.S. of hypocrisy.
Many people within the U.S. actually have little confidence in the democracy of the United States. The challenges facing the U.S. in human rights are deep-seated. They did not just emerge over the past 4 years, such as Black Lives Matter.
Hold on 1 second, please.
Blinken then changed the plan and told the media to stay so he could respond on camera.
Time said it's never a good bet to bet against America.
At that point, the U.S. camera left. The Chinese objected and called for the cameras to return, to resume the tit-for-tat.
One can only cause damage to himself if he tries to strangle or suppress the Chinese people.
Yang's unabashed willingness to confront reflects President Xi Jinping's unwillingness to change behavior because of international pressure. Xi calls for China to, quote, stand tall in the East and has dramatically modernized China's military.
Did you get, by the way, C-SPAN has also edited that piece out now. Did you get the piece that they edited out?
I don't know what they edited out, so I can't say.
Where the translator says, you come here, who are you to talk to us with that condescending tone? That was literally what
I didn't get that. The whole thing was like that. Except for the end, the original 20 minutes by the Chinese was all written down. So try play Blinken 2 and see, maybe this is what the clip I was looking at.
Because I saw this. They changed their response. And there was even a confusion with the translators because they were ready to read back.
I don't know that C-SPAN did this.
That C-SPAN did what? I saw all that on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And that was all normal. The part they cut out is the calling the cameras back in. And that was caught on a cell phone. I thought you would have it, otherwise I would have clipped it.
Oh, no, I don't. C-SPAN didn't show that.
They did originally. They did originally. That's where I found it. And then it was gone. You said the 20 minutes that turned to 16. That's exactly this. I'm just seeing it now. So now I'm pissed that we don't have that. Because it's
okay. It's fine. We know what it was. Not like anything to get that worked up about. Can you play Blinken 2? I think this is the second part of that, what you just played.
Even as Beijing rejected the U.S.'s handful of criticisms from Xinjiang to cyberspace.
It's no surprise that when we raised those issues, clearly and directly, we got a defensive response. But we were also able to have a very candid conversation over these many hours on an expansive agenda. On Iran, on North Korea, on Afghanistan, on climate. Our interests intersect.
Okay, so he says that they were defensive, but there's no doubt in my mind that the original speech, which I'm going to play part of, which is the Blinken 1 clip, which was taken from C-SPAN, was written out in advance because the translator was reading from a written script. So what you saw in C-SPAN, which was a bunch of Chinese complaining about us being assholes and warmongers, was not even mentioned on this PBS discussion.
Wow. Well, they have to protect. Well, I did see the news everywhere about China butt slamming Blinken. But all the good stuff.
Part of it, so we know what we're talking about.
This is Blinken 1?
Yeah, Blinken 1.
In China's case, after decades of reform and opening up, we have come a long way in
This is the translator reading from the script after the guy went on his 20-minute diatribe.
Fields. In particular, we have made tireless efforts to contribute to the peace and the development of the world and to upholding the purposes and principles of the UN Charter. The wars in this world are launched by some other countries, which have resulted in massive casualties. But for China, what we have asked for other countries is to follow a path of peaceful development. And this is the purpose of our foreign policy. We do not believe in invading through the use of force or to topple other regimes through various means. or to massacre the people of other countries, because all of those would only cause turmoil and instability in this world. And at the end of the day, all of those would not serve the United States well. So we believe that it is important for the United States to change its own image and to stop advancing its own democracy in the rest of the world.
That was just part of it.
I saw the whole thing.
It was exactly. A 20-minute screed about what a bunch of jerk-offs we are. And it was in the way Blinken handles it. This Blinken guy, Blinken is the perfect name for this.
Way out of his league. Out of his league.
This reminds me of the last Secretary of State that the Democrats had up there, which was John Kerry. And if you remember when they were doing the deal with Iran, that one Iranian guy would just condemn Kerry just on the spot as being an a-hole.
Mm-hmm. And
it was these. I don't know what's wrong with these Democrats that they can't put in a guy with some backbone. And of course, then the cover. You got cover with PBS giving the report sounding like it was a pretty good meeting, except for the fact that they had the cameras coming in and out.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to sum it up after you're done with your clips.
That's the end of my clips.
Okay. So what I saw is the American team came in, Blinken and Jake Sullivan, and they acted like they were talking in America, like they were talking about stupid Republicans with that same arrogant, condescending, absolutely true, like we're the shit. We just did a whole tour of Japan and we did a tour of South Korea, and they got problems with you, China. They're not really all that happy. They love us. That's literally what they said. And then, so the first thing the guy came back with, well, those are our two biggest trading partners. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, douchebag. By the way, who are you to talk about any of this stuff with the Uyghurs? And they literally said, we want to work together. You don't tell us what to do. We are two powers on the world stage. And these guys were befuddled. They didn't understand. They thought, well, but we're America. Huh? They have no idea what China is up to. I don't think they really understand. These were lightweights, way out of their league. And it was when Jake Sullivan, when he spoke for his 3 minutes, that's when the body language changed. It was things that Jake Sullivan was saying, like, well, we got a problem with with your human rights, and we have to talk about this. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's how it sounded. And the whole thing is just if you put two guys in a room, they could have had this conversation in 6 minutes, but he had to have this whole. It's an anachronism. It's so old school. The two long tables, the interpreters, and what happened to the interpreter was lying. Remember that with Trump?
Sorry, what?
With Trump, with Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
The interpreter was lying.
Oh, yeah. The interpreter was lying.
All that bullshit. So,
yeah.
So it was
you're absolutely correct. This is old-fashioned. It looked like something that would be done in the 1930s. These guys are out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to modernize anything.
They think that their shit don't stink, and they got totally bitch slapped, and rightly so. Very embarrassing for the United States of America, but we deserve that because these guys look like douches. And
yes, but the point being that I made, you didn't get what you're saying is absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
But PBS didn't play it that way.
No, why would we? No.
PBS played, it's a pretty interesting meeting.
No. What the M5M did is they had to go after the true villain, the real villain, by doing the same thing, by poo-pooing Vladimir Putin, who, as we discussed, responded to Joe Biden saying, you'll find out when we're ready. We're going to do it to him. He'll find out. I call it words of war. And Putin, well, here's an M5M report. It's not the best quality, but it really sums it all up.
A war of words erupted just hours after President Biden vowed that Vladimir Putin would pay a price for attempting to undermine the 2020 U.S. election and agreed that the Russian president is a killer.
Regarding my American colleague's statement, as he said, we know each other personally. What I would answer him, I would tell him stay healthy. I wish him good health. I say this without irony.
A chilling warning from the Russian leader whose spies used a banned nerve agent to poison Putin's main opponent.
Do you not love that? Do you not love pulling right away? Oh, by the way, this guy he's a killer. He kills people. He poisons people who are his opponents. Not proven, but okay.
Putin then challenged Biden to talk tomorrow or Monday.
I want to invite Biden to continue this discussion, but on the condition we do it live, online, without any delay, in an open, direct discussion. I think it would be interesting.
In an interview that aired Wednesday, Biden did not mince his words.
So you know Vladimir Putin. You think he's a killer? Mm-hmm. I do. So what price must he pay? The price he's going to pay, well, you'll see shortly.
A Kremlin spokesman said there hasn't been anything like this in history as the Russian president analyzed the comments.
I remember when we were young and would bicker out in the yard. We would say, I'm rubber and you're glue. Bad names bounce off me and stick to you. We always see our own qualities in other people and assume that they are just like us.
Putin accused the U.S. of past genocide, slavery, and referenced Black Lives Matter, themes that Russian bots use online to divide Americans.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's ADOS. That's the Russian bots. So they're bringing that one back now.
Americans. The U.S. sanctioned Russia this week for poisoning Putin's opponent, Alexei Navalny, and is also planning to respond to Russia's recent hacking and 2020 election disinformation campaigns. The escalating tensions come as Russia hosts a new round of peace talks between the Taliban, the Afghan government, and 4 other countries, including the U.S., which needs Russia's help to end the fighting in Afghanistan.
So I found this very interesting, how the M5M takes their cue and they ratchet up the, dangerous Russia, dangerous Russia. And they totally, as you proved here, totally played down what happened with China. And here's Jen Psaki, her official response.
President Biden and President Putin certainly have different perspectives on their respective countries and how to approach engagement in the world. But where they agree is that we should continue to look for ways to work together, as was noted in part of President Putin's comments. And there are areas of mutual interest. New START, which we just extended for 5 years, is an example of that. Obviously, Russia is also a member of the P5+1 as we look ahead to what's possible there as it relates to, preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. So we are confident that we can continue to look for ways where there's a mutual interest, mutual national interest, but the president is not going to hold back, clearly, when he has concerns, when he has, whether it is with words or actions.
Why? She's like nervous.
Yeah, because this is not a good situation. I love what Putin said, though. He says he gave the Russian equivalent of wat je zegt ben jezelf, met je kop door de helft. You call me a killer, that's what you are. And I have that exact term on tape.
Кто как обзывается, тот так и называется.
You are what you say you are. Right there.
But you are what you say I am.
Yes, that's what I mean. What do you say I am?
Well, I have a bunch of Biden clips because it's Biden Sunday.
But can we... So I'll just finalize this. How does this play out with Russia? Nothing happens, I guess. It's just more back and forth because that's the theater that the Biden administration wants, right? Just the theater. And China, that PBS covered up what happened there. And I don't think it's such a big deal. Who gives a shit what a bunch of numbnuts say to each other? But it is telling for our relationship. And that's not okay that PBS didn't report on that properly.
No, it's not okay at all. But that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yes, it is Biden Sunday. All right. What do we have for Biden Sunday?
Well, I can start off with one dedicated to you, which was one of the few long clips. Most of the clips are pretty short because just Biden's difficulty in putting a sentence together. But let's listen to this. I'll get to yours in a minute. Let's go start with the Biden child. I picked this one off the Stephanopoulos. I thought they cleaned most of it up. But I listened to this one over and over and over again, and this one is the Biden stumbling over this explanation for the child tax credit.
There's something called a child tax credit. What that basically means is you get a tax credit for every child you have.
Okay, done. Good night, everybody. I'll be here all week.
The American Rescue Plan expands that credit. It means that families of over 2 million children in Georgia will be eligible for an increase in that child tax credit of $1,600 per year per child.
Huh? Okay.
Families with over 2 million children in Georgia.
So they, it's probably those Asians. They got a lot of kids.
Now, most of these are shorter. Here's one. This was a point of information. I think they got the same old sound guys, because here is Biden. This is just a mic check.
Uh-oh.
It's not Biden's mic check. He's actually talking, but he coughs into the microphone. He's got the two dual Sures.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, because I didn't see him cough directly into the microphone like you're not supposed to do. But it seemed to give the opportunity for the sound guy to blow out the sound. And this is what you ended up with.
Heart-wrenching to listen to them. As many of you know,
it's done.
We originally planned to hold a car rally to thank our supporters. But given the events of the recent days, we didn't feel it was appropriate.
Wow, he really screwed something up on that one. And that broke.
I don't know what happened.
Let me see.
It really just busted up like
As many
crazy.
of you know.
No, I think he broke one of the two mics.
Maybe, but it sure didn't look like he coughed that hard.
Yeah, but listen to it. Sounds like the what's it called? The membrane. I think he hits it right here.
The capsule.
Capsule. Yes. And then it's broken. Listen here.
As many of you know.
Yeah, that's a broken cap.
Well, then they went off to the second mic.
Yeah, they went off to the second one. Good work, Joe.
So, yeah, he put his hand over his mouth.
Hey, John. John, who am I now?
All right. So let's go here's a non sequitur from Biden.
Oh, just one, huh?
It's the coronavirus. Full stop. The conversation we had today with the AAPI leaders, and that we're hearing all across the country, is that hate and violence often hide in plain sight.
What? Hold on, let me hear that again. I got to hear that one again. That confused even me.
It's the coronavirus.
Okay.
Full stop.
Okay.
The conversation we had today with the AAPI leaders, and that we're hearing all across the country, is that hate and violence often hide in plain sight.
As white people, I think that's whatever it is. Trump white. AAPI.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, what he's saying is that I think what he's trying to say is that the hate against AAPI, please stop. This is so wrong. All right, AAPI, because, the PIs wanted to be included with the AAs, and we don't feel good about it. He said the hate is in plain sight. We all know it. We know. It's white men. Incels.
Here's another cutie. This is the Biden do clip.
Do.
We have to beat this virus.
We have to beat this virus. This is an example of him changing direction in mid-sentence.
No, he's toast.
Well, let's try Biden on Europe.
Don't let what you see happening in Europe when you see on television.
What did he say?
You don't know see what's happening here?
Don't let what you see happening in Europe when you see on television.
I mean, apparently whatever's happening in Europe is on television, so we should go watch that.
This is true. He's got that right. Here's where he says that he makes the mistake of calling President Harris.
This is my favorite.
Now, when President Harris and I took a virtual tour of a vaccination center in Arizona,
he didn't even correct it. So sad. So sad.
Here's the "they're not" clip. This is a little longer.
They're not.
We're sending back people to, first of all, the idea that Joe Biden said come, because I heard the other day that they're coming because they know I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did. They're saying this. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not.
They're not. Oh, man.
And on the little parade. And by the way, people should note these are all very short 10-second clips, so we're not wasting a lot of time on this. But this one should trigger. This is one of the triggering clips. Be forewarned. Here it comes.
I need your help. I need you to help. Not just the country, but your family, your friends, your neighbors. Get them vaccinated as well. If we keep our guard up, stick together, and stick with the science, we can look forward to a 4th of July that feels a bit more normal, with small groups able to gather for cookouts in backyards, and where we began to declare our independence on Independence Day from the virus. Look, together we're going to come through this stronger, with renewed faith in each other and our government that fulfills its most important function, protecting the American people.
I would rant about it if I hadn't ranted about it a week ago. The guy's always doing this.
A lot.
The guy's always doing this.
It's part of the show.
Yeah, the guy's always doing this. That is not the number one job. The number one job, now he does say government, so I've got to give him a little bit of a pass there. But it's to defend, uphold, protect, circle around the Constitution.
Circle back.
Circle back around the Constitution. Oh, man. Yeah, it's...
Now, I have one kind of a clip that's very interesting that has to do with this kind of Biden-ish clip, because I didn't know this was going on, and I didn't know this would be going on, and now we're hearing about how Biden wants to move people from the southern border to the northern border for some reason.
I can tell you why. You move them up to the northern border so that all the cameras aren't focused on all the people. They're just shifting the problem around.
I'm sure Trudeau would go for that. Okay. This I did not know. There's a gag order in place, according to this is on Fox. This is the Money Honey.
You mean the crypto cougar?
I don't know which of these women who are
the Money Honey has now become the crypto cougar.
Is that
now
Bartiromo?
Yeah, she's got a few more years on her, so she's a crypto
cougar. Here's Bartiromo with McEnany. And they bring up this point. I did not hear this, but I believe it to be true. Gag order clip.
Joining me right now is Kayleigh McEnany. She is former Trump White House press secretary and a Fox News analyst. Kayleigh, it's great to see you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Your reaction to the administration announcing this press conference more than a week away?
It's an extraordinary decision, a absolutely puzzling one. Dana Perino, one of my predecessors, has commented on this network that, you don't announce a press conference till the morning. I had the same rule in my press office. You don't know what the news cycle is 9 days in advance. We know that there's a crisis on the southern border that they refuse to acknowledge. No one knows what that will look like in 9 days, but I imagine it will be worse. So she announces this, Jen Psaki, the press secretary, in advance, presumably to get the media off her heels, but in doing so really creates a lot of pressure on President Biden that no matter the news cycle, he will be at that podium.
Well, let's not forget there is a media blackout over the border right now, Kayleigh, and I know that you were there every day at that podium answering questions, whatever those questions were lobbed at you. We are hearing that there is, in fact, an unofficial gag order. The Biden administration has told the patrol agents at the border to not share any information about what's going on in the migrant crisis with reporters.
Yes, and now we know exactly why that gag order exists. There was a Democrat senator today who went down to look at one of these facilities, Senator Murphy, and came out and said that he was almost brought to tears by what he saw with these children. So that's why the gag order exists, because in effect, when a sitting senator gets a look at it, they've got to shut off the media, shut off the access, because if America saw those images, there'd be a lot of pressure on President Biden.
Oh, do you think that there's any portion of the population in the United States over 5% that can see what's going on?
No, of course not.
I mean, I'm still kind of struck by the PBS obfuscation, the cover-up. And then there's a gag order, so you can't talk, and we know the media won't do it anyway. It's Fox, okay. Pretend to be the heroes, but they're not. They're just as
No, they're
crappy
not.
as the
They
rest.
don't have anybody down there. They had Kaylee McEnany.
Yeah.
She was bringing this up with Maria. Nobody listens to Maria's show.
Well, I try to
and
catch
she's been marginalized. I'm surprised they haven't fired her by now.
Oh, they had her on all last week in the 7 p.m. slot just before Tucker. They keep rotating hosts. She did the whole week. No, for some reason they keep her. I think her husband isn't he like a hedge fund guy? He's like, you don't want to mess with kind of guy.
No, okay, that could be.
Believe me, they would have kicked her off in a heartbeat. Do you know that she's younger than me? Jeez.
No, I did not know. Well,
she's 3 years younger than me.
I never considered her age.
No, she needs better lighting, is what it is. I'd love to help out with that. Who is she married to? Spouse Jonathan Steinberg. No link. Yeah, I thought he was a hedge fund guy. Yeah. Well, that makes nothing but sense. Keep it from the people. They don't need to know.
Yeah, just don't have any information. But meanwhile, kids in cages.
And the thing is that these types of things are taking place on political spectrum in all countries. I mean, I hear the same in the UK, the same in the Netherlands. I'd hear that a little bit more because of my background and knowing people there, and you just hear more stuff. It's all kind of the same thing, and it seems to be all driven by the technocrat people who claim to run the country. The great
they're doing a pretty piss poor job of it.
Well, it's really the Great Reset people. Because they're all these idiots. They all go to these conferences, and of course they especially these prime ministers.
Groupthink.
Oh yeah, the group.
There's no more of a groupthink phenomenon that we've seen during our period of doing the show, 13 years plus. Than this Build Back Better and the Great Reset groupthink, and it's all groupthink. It comes right from some talking points that came out at some of one of these meetings that you see it in tech all the time, where people come out with, everyone come out of the meeting and they'll be thinking exactly the same way about something.
Well, I'd like to play the audio of their most recent promo reel. And they've had some pretty crazy ones. And this
Who's they?
World Economic Forum.
Oh, this guy's off the rails. Well, he should just not even discuss this guy. Everyone should boycott his operation.
Well, this is not Klaus speaking. There's the CEO.
No, but everything's about Klaus.
This is the CEO of MasterCard. This is, what this is all about, the Great Reset, is the reason why I want to play this. Because these dickheads who are making all this stuff go on around, all the technocrats in every country, they follow this. They believe this. This is, they've been indoctrinated. This is not new. Now it's just out in front. It is called the Great Reset. They even make a joke about it in this video, saying, well, that wasn't such a great idea, but we really need it. We can stop whenever you want and talk about it or highlight things, because
I'll stop it when we need to. I mean, I'll stop it if I need to, if something gets me upset.
Get ready for it.
The pandemic has radically changed the world as we know it, and the actions we take today as we work to recover will define our generation.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
The recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset. A Great Reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world.
So they go from Great Reset and then, that's some buzzword bingo. And they show like a puppet hand with strings on the globe, kind of cementing the idea that that's exactly what it is. Oh, no, that wasn't a great idea. And they roll back into, we got to build better. Mm-hmm. It's just pushing.
Hold on a sec. One of the things that the guy says, one of these talking heads comes out and he says, we can't go back to the status quo. It's the status quo that got us here. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? You're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar economy, worldwide economy with free trade and ships going back and forth and people with energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, food that can feed a population of 7 or 8 billion people. And also you buy a car, it's got radar on it. So if someone's going by you got the radar beeps. It's unbelievable where we are, but this is bad.
Well, right in the beginning, they say, the planet needs a bailout. This is all about climate change.
Yeah. It's going to make my 2-hour climate change special so interesting.
And the video that goes with this is well produced, well cut, lots of colors, drawings, flashy. It mind controls you.
And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. But the world's not that.
That's you and me, John. We're idiots. We've been hoodwinked. We're suspecting the global leaders of conspiracy. You're literally conspiring, lady.
Act simple. Every one of us has differing priorities, values, and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by, and why we all need to be involved in the decision-making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together.
Now, what you hear here is 100% Noodle Boy. Everybody needs to have something to say. We all need a say. That's what this is.
Views and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by, and why we all need to be involved in the decision-making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together, even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us. But
we need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That trust is hard to come by.
That's the CEO of MasterCard.
It's time for people to work together, listen to each other, and build this trust so we can move towards a better world. And we really need one. Because while the pandemic affects us all, it's clear it affects some more than others.
The first people who are hit are the people at the front, those who are vulnerable. It is those on the front line who take it first, and that is simply unacceptable.
See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty.
See, I find this interesting because this is something that Elizabeth Warren does, Joe Biden, everyone. Oh, the rich guys, they own already 1% owns most of the world, and they only got richer. This is supposed to push the proletariat, the plebs. Push you. You want revolution. You want a green revolution.
And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic, the message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead. This obsession that we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about
diverse voices lead to better results. Is that everything we've learned, lady?
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about something called stakeholder capitalism, which would shift businesses away from just profit. Because
if we want to change where the focus of our recovery will go, then we need a new dashboard for the new economy. And that needs to encompass people, planet, prosperity, and institutions.
People, planet,
giving
prosperity.
People a real stake in the economy and putting well-being before growth. And that's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time.
We must rebuild our relationship.
There you go. It's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time. It kind of ends from there. This is their goal, is stakeholder capitalism. It's a buzzword. You're going to hear about it. It's a KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Toilette and Douche, Deloitte. Measuring stakeholder capitalism towards common metrics and consistent reporting of sustainable value creation. The whole doc is the whole doc is in the show notes.
There's your buzzword bingo. Bingo.
Right. That's right. And Klaus right there with Brian Moynihan, CEO of Bank of America. Also, they're all in on this. And it just shaping this world that can only be saved by giving the illusion that everybody participates, and companies will put people before profits. No, that's not how it works. Stakeholder capitalism. The whole thing is diabolical. And we need to have the right people in the right place at the right time. So that means government oversight. It means placement of CEOs who are predetermined if they're okay to be hired. Now, will they pull it off? I don't know. But there's a lot of dickheads in America, certainly, who believe in this.
No, they can't pull it. They're too stupid. But way too many. That's kind of the problem. But I wonder what the connection is to this. Now, this has nothing to do with the clip you play, but when the MasterCard guy shows up and he's a total douchebag and the rest of it, I have to play these two clips. I've been carrying these clips for weeks.
Okay. Talking to the mic, man. You're wandering.
I don't know why that is. EUN1.
EUN.
The Chinese regime is actively testing its own digital currency.
Yes.
It wants to compete with the world's most popular digital currency, Bitcoin. But can it prevail in the battle? NTD's Becky Zhou has the latest.
It's incredible that one Bitcoin is worth over $50,000, and it's attracting competitors such as the Chinese yuan into the digital currency market. But the Chinese regime's agenda may be above and beyond digital currency. Chinese authorities are testing digital yuan in multiple cities such as Shanghai and Beijing. They call it e-yuan and claim it will simplify payment transactions.
It's not freely exchangeable with US dollars. And also government controls the exchange rate. So for most Americans, they probably won't feel anything.
Both e-yuan and Bitcoin are digital currencies, but they're different.
Bitcoin was not issued by any government entities. It was issued by a group that we don't even know who they are. That's the true encrypted digital currency.
e-yuan is similar to Apple Pay in the sense that users place their phones next to a device to complete each payment. But it's also unique. Users can withdraw e-yuan via ATM machines onto their phones to make purchases. According to Chinese state-run media, users can still transfer money without internet connection.
How is the Chinese system connected with U.S. system? That's a problem that U.S. companies may face, like importers, exporters.
For those American companies that do business with China, they have to figure out a way to deal with e-yuan. But the implications of e-yuan go beyond trade. The CCP could use its digital currency to evade U.S. sanctions and support other internationally sanctioned regimes. The Washington Post says the CCP used Chinese yuan to buy Venezuela's digital currency, Petro, when Petro was created against U.S. sanctions in 2018. And Beijing could also suspend the digital wallets of human rights activists with no difficulties.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this.
Yeah, this is kind of in the background, but this is again challenging the U.S. dollar's hegemony worldwide. And every time somebody tries to do this, they seem to get themselves into trouble.
Well, it's
trouble.
I think it's. Go ahead.
Venezuela is a good example when they've been talking a big game about their own petrodollar. I'd have a second part of this clip if you want to play it. It's only short. I don't know what it is.
For people like the dissidents, people that the Chinese government doesn't like, underground Christians, Falun Gong practitioners, Tibetan monks, Uyghurs, if they want to punish them, they can close their account.
The Chinese regime is reportedly also trying to expand e-yuan to Hong Kong and use it at the Winter Olympic Games in Beijing next year.
Right. So I definitely was talking about this early on. This is the whole move to central bank digital currencies. China wants to do it. So every central bank wants to do it for the same reason, so that they can manipulate the money supply, and so that they can have what they call better tools to work on inflation, to contain so they can inflate and deflate at will. That's the whole idea, by literally taking the 16th digit after the decimal point and reducing that, and you don't care. You're looking at your digital wallet.
Well, let's take it one step further. In Cyprus, as you recall, like 5 or 6 years ago, they just basically took 10% of everybody's money.
Oh, and more in some cases, just right out of the banks.
That too, or in the case of this Chinese product, you could just kill the account because you don't like the person.
Well, and that is the same for the sand dollar, which is I think that's Bahamas or Bermuda. The euro. The digital euro is now in final phase of planning. We, for a long time, have heard about the digital dollar. It was in the original coronavirus package, the first one, when Trump was still president, the one that got shot down because it was filled with crazy stuff. And the whole idea behind that was, hey, if we have a digital dollar and then everyone gets an account which is directly connected to the Federal Reserve, then we can bypass the whole system and we can just push it back and forth between the citizens. And if the citizens don't comply, then we take it back. We can block it, or even better, we'll give them incentives if they're good little doobies and they spend their stuff at these stores, Whole Foods and Walmart, and then we'll give them more incentives. Maybe we'll do a little special universal basic income. We'll do a little stimulus, just a one-time stimulus, which can only be spent on cars. That they want total control, and that is why Bitcoin is the only answer for humanity, because that's where everyone's going. I think Bitcoin they shut down Jack Ma with his Alipay for this reason, because they didn't want him competing with their e-yuan. But all of them are all looking at Bitcoin saying, how the hell do we stop it? And they can't. That's my personal view.
Yeah, it is your personal view.
And it's going
my
to
personal view is
suck
that the Chinese public, the Chinese at large, especially the ones in the United States, won't let any of this happen because they like cash. They like the dollar. They like something you can put in your wallet and you can spend it and trade it between people. Here's $1 for you, here's $1 for me. That's the way that this doesn't work, is when you keep currency in play.
Well, that's the intent. And none of these coins will be exchangeable, not digitally. They'll be closed systems. It's a very dystopic world that we're going towards. When they that's the one thing we lost during the lockdown and COVID. Cash, gone. It was dirty. Cash is dirty. It's infested.
It was a nice try. There's still cash around. I have plenty. About $15.
You should just grab a Bitcoin. Just grab one Bitcoin. Just take it from your old pal, Adam. What do you got to lose? Except 50
I had a chance to buy Bitcoin at 25 cents.
Yeah, I know. Everyone had a chance. You can still buy it now. It's going to 430,000.
Okay.
So, and I also really believe that the banking system is so messed up that they don't know what to do with it. I mean, they just don't know how to. The banks are the problem. They're the ones that take all the money printer stuff that's flying around and they push it into this. I mean, we have the Dow Jones and NASDAQ at record high. Why? Because that's where the money goes. It's not helping anybody.
What goes up must come down. Anyway, I'm concerned about these sorts of things. But the Chinese, I don't think they can pull it off with their own people.
No,
there's something nice about having, portable cash.
It's not. It's
and
done.
Why would you have it? It's on your phone, by the way. The e-yen. It's on your phone. So you go to an ATM. and then have more money moved to your phone? That's what it said in the report. Why wouldn't you just dial a number and have it moved in? Why does the ATM even exist if you have a system like that?
No, I think they're just trying to say that everything's going to be all stuck together. But the Chinese, they don't, I mean, you think they use a lot of cash? As far as I know, Alipay is the number one. That's how they do it. Everything is paid for in Alipay. They got these super chat apps. And you pay for everything through it. Your phone bill, your electricity bill, your rent. All of that's hooked into Alipay. Now, I think the Chinese are very wired into a system without cash. And we're just the same. Venmo. Everyone's got all these apps. No one's using cash. So I know you have some. I got some too. But
in the mattress.
This is the real danger. I mean, the money is the problem. We have a $4 trillion stimulus bill coming up. Well, that's going to be fun.
That thing's not going to get passed. I'd be stunned if that actually happened. They'll bitch about it.
But what do they care?
No, I know. As far as they're concerned, it's just all free money.
Yeah, just
throw it in the air. Yay! Let's catch it on fire. Who cares?
Yeah, we'll just make it rain. You know.
All right, to change.
Yes.
To change subjects. I want to keep us up to date with the Cuomo story.
All right.
It's up to 6 people now. And I remember, and I think we talked about it on the show, they had 2 accusers. And the big thing, all the media, mainstream media, well, if there's a 3rd accuser, he's done.
He's done with. He'll be out.
We're up to 6, including somebody who just works for him. And she got fed up and quit. This is the updated report right here, and this is as far as it's gotten.
Now to a developing headline as we're on the air tonight, the widening scandal involving New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. The New York Times is now reporting tonight, for the first time, a current employee of the governor's office coming forward with her own allegations. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef tonight.
Tonight, for the first time, a woman who currently works in the office of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo coming forward to accuse him of sexual harassment. Alyssa McGrath, a 33-year-old aide, says Cuomo ogled her while she was taking dictation. I put my head down, waiting for him to start speaking, and he didn't start speaking, she said. So I looked up to see what was going on, and he was blatantly looking down my shirt. McGrath tells the Times a coworker confided in her that Cuomo had groped her breast, a story that has been previously reported. Cuomo has denied ever getting physical with anyone.
I never harassed anyone. I never abused anyone. I never assaulted anyone. And I never would.
But McGrath is the 8th woman to say that's just not true. Former aide Anna Liz claims Cuomo created a toxic and abusive environment where she felt like, quote, just a skirt.
I don't think the average person in New York State would like to know that their governor is an absolute
douchebag.
Monster.
Another former aide, Lindsay Boylan, says Cuomo gave her an unwanted kiss. She tells the New Yorker's Ronan Farrow that one time at the governor's mansion, one of Cuomo's dogs jumped on her. She claims Cuomo, quote, joked that if he were a dog, he would try to mount her as well.
We unearthed emails, texts, both internal communications in the governor's office that talked about her looks and alluded to an elevated level of interest from the governor.
And David, Lindsay Boylan told the New Yorker that the governor's office tried to retaliate against her by leaking her personnel files with unflattering information to reporters. The governor's office says that was appropriate to set the record straight. David?
All right, Ariel Reshef here in New York. Thank you.
What's so sad about this is that the Democrats, to cover up the incompetence of their own party and the guy that thinks he's on deck for president, They can't get something real on the guy like, hey, he really was a bad leader, bad administrator. His decisions, which he then covered up, led to perhaps unnecessary deaths. No, with the Democrat Party, and I hate to pick on any political party, but in this case it's true, it always has to be about the penis. They're sex obsessed. No, it can get him on ogling. But ogling is not necessarily a horrible word. You know,
it was ogling.
Well, it's to look at flirtatiously. You know, it's not like an ogre. He's an ogre ogling.
Well, I think the way I perceived it in my mind when she discussed this is that she's there asking him questions. She's bent over or something. And instead of him responding to her the way I understand it, He's just staring there like drooling, drool coming out of his mouth, his eyeballs bugged open, and he's looking right down her dress, and that's all he can think about.
She does paint a pretty picture for us, doesn't she?
And that's pretty much the way I saw it. But the other stuff, it's all combined. I mean, it keeps going on and on and on. And his main assistant is the one who just came up with this recently, like a day or two ago.
It's a takedown.
And when everybody in your office, all the women in your office turn on you, and don't want to necessarily, but they all do it. There's something wrong with this guy and his whole operation. And he won't quit. And the Democrats don't know what to do about it, because the way it's going now is that he's an embarrassment. They got to get rid of him. They can't get him to quit.
Well, that's been the issue the whole time. He's not going to quit. He's going to stick it out. He's fighting him. And it's kind of admirable.
Well, Al Franken had less bad things going on, and he bailed in a minute. I quit because Kristen Gillibrand told him to quit. He doesn't work for Kristen Gillibrand. He works for the people who voted for him, the Minnesotans who voted for him. But no, because Kristen Gillibrand told him to quit, he quit like a wimp.
How about this? He's got the goods on some important people. That's why he's staying put. He's not going to let them bring him down with this. He's got the goods. He's no stranger to threatening. There was a New York Times story. I think they even had a recording on a podcast where he said, "Oh, you want me to tell everybody you're a child molester?" I mean, he's that kind of guy. I totally believe this. And everyone's just been, tiptoeing around him going, "Oh, it's just the governor, oh, well, but it's still a cool job and prospects, and we'll keep it like it is." But now everything, of course, is evil about him. Sure. But there's a reason why he's not just afraid of what will happen if he has no more power. He's in power for a reason. He's got something. He has some power, and they're trying to pull him down with this leadership thing, and you're a creep. I think
I'm not going to argue this as a possibility.
I don't know what it is yet. There are no secrets. Only information you don't
know.
Yet have.
Someone will know. Somebody has the goods.
Quick rundown of some noodle gun stories, because the hilarity never stops. Former president of the Drag Queen Story Hour Foundation. Do you remember this outfit? They're the ones that would go to schools and read stories in drag.
Yeah.
So the president of the Drag Queen Story Hour Foundation, he also turns out to be a children's court judge, was arrested on 7 counts of child porn. So that's inconvenient.
Wow.
Yeah. Not hearing a lot about that, huh? I mean, here's the story. Last summer, we talked about this fantastic idea to bring the trans ideas into young children's minds. What a great group this was. Look at their reading, dressed up as women. Aladdin is on deck. Aladdin about to get canceled as racist.
The character in the Disney movies?
Yes. It includes negative depictions or mistreatment of people or cultures. And as Disney themselves says, these stereotypes were wrong then and wrong now. See, they're not even saying it was a different time. No. It was wrong then and wrong now. And we acknowledge this harmful impact. But what I think is more pertinent to discuss here is the 3 different areas where the mob is going after independent thought, independent publication, independent content creation, which includes podcasting. The first one is Substack, and I've been waiting for the Substack implosion. There's something very interesting happening about Substack. The way they're trying to discredit, and they is the mainstream media, but in particular New York Times' Kara Swisher, is by saying these guys are running a scam because they're paying some of their writers hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not disclosing it. So therefore, they're really a publisher who's doing shady business. So that, yes, instead of seeing Substack as a service that just provides service so people can create a newsletter, and I think they're doing podcasts now as well. Probably have blog functionality for all I know. They are actually a publisher, and they're not transparent. Therefore, Substack cannot be trusted. What they're trying to say is Greenwald and Taibbi are getting money under the table, and Substack admits. They say, "Oh yeah, no, we pay a lot of people to kick off the service." But you understand.
That's what you do.
But you
It's
understand
called marketing.
Yes, but you understand why a Kara Swisher can't stand that. She's pissed off about that. Oh, these guys are making good
She's
money.
told to write this. I don't believe that she's sincere.
But this is the way they're trying to take them down.
Well, they're not doing a very good job of it.
The payment processor is next. Watch. All they have to do is go after the payment processor. They're doing it again with Patreon. That's the second noodle gun story, the third noodle gun story I have for you. Patreon. Oh, yeah. No, they got a lot of transphobes over there. Transphobic content. Transphobes. They got 45,000 self-identified not safe for work creators. There's a lot of transphobes. Patreon is stuck in the headlights again. They don't know what to do. So they just got to remove people. But my favorite.
Well, they've been removing people all along. So
yeah. No, but now you just throw out the transphobe stuff. You can take everybody down, even for just saying it wrong. Which is on one hand good. Now the fun one is how they're trying to take down podcasting, and by definition, that's not possible. Podcasting is decentralized. Yeah, there's some centralized stuff that, because of Apple's role, and Spotify is trying to get the market. But in general, if you want to reach an audience, you're on the free and open podcast infrastructure. And, we can't have this because people are just like those two a-holes, Curry and Dvorak. They just talk whatever they want. They go against the narrative. Who's in charge of this? Who moderates this? Well, no one moderates it. So they decide to go after the advertisers. And how do we do it? By creating the Media Roundtable. Yes, Madison Avenue has created the Media Roundtable, a group of organizations that aims to promote civility and stronger dialogue in media. It's launching a chart of what it considers to be the podcasts that display the most and least bias. The debut of the chart, prepared by research organization Ad Fontes Media, is part of a bid to get advertisers to support content of better quality in an area where the proliferation of niche outlets makes such stuff more difficult to track. So now they're going to have a list, and they're going to say, well, these podcasts, you shouldn't advertise on them. And if we catch you advertising on them, we will expose you.
We need a list on this side of the fence, which I've said for a long time. Now, this flies in the face of the New York University journalism professor who says that you're supposed to be biased. That's the only way to go. How does that work?
Yeah, but they don't want that. These evil podcasts, podcasters, it's hot. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's got a mind of their own. They can just spew it in the ether. We have no control. So we'll control them with their money supply by going after the advertisers. Advertising is censorship. It's just what it is. That's why from day one, show 3, we created the value for value model, and we have lived by it.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we have a few people to thank for show 1331 after the segue of the year.
Thank you very much.
Terry Purdin, and Tigard, Oregon, 13333. We have a lot of people there, in that neck of the woods. Night of the Iguana and Wife in Salisbury, Maryland, 133.10. The 133.10 was the special donation gimmick, which came up with 3 takers. Starting with Night of the Iguana and Wife, Rianne Fernie from Parts Unknown, and Aaron I think it's Groene, Groene, and Meade, Nebraska.
Green, probably.
And those are 133.10s. That's a palindrome. Sir Sean Knight of the Dota Off Lane, Department of Transportation. I don't know what that is, but he's a knight of it. $100 from Kill Devil Hills. Joe Weish in Miami, Florida, 7777. You might want to Roger read his note because there's a knight, I think, because it's in blue, and we read those on the low end here.
Yep. Oh, so I was just setting everything up. Well, where is it? I don't have a blue. Oh, here.
Joe Weish on 21. It's blue. You guys continue to do a magnificent job.
21 is gray for me. Is blue for you? I got gray.
It could be gray. It's real light blue.
No, I got it. You guys continue to do a magnificent job of slicing and dicing the loads of BS that has become our mainstream media. This is my first donation for 2021. My failure to not send it in earlier for the Value for Value program. I hope it did not drop me back to the obligatory status of douchebag.
No, it's just nothing.
From Miami, the former home of Little Wuhan. I think it's a card that he sent.
I will say the blue. Oh yeah, it probably is gray. And I have to say, when you have a cataract operation on one of your eyeballs, blue is the dominant color.
You know, we're such a great pair.
A little tint of blue. It's like
we're such a great pair together. You know. You can't see. I can't hear.
And we needed one of us could talk.
We should hang out.
Bryant and I slur, apparently, according to my wife.
There's that.
You're slurring. No, actually, I got her. She told me I can't do that voice for her anymore. I've got to do this voice.
Oh, is that the new
John,
Mimi?
You're slurring.
That's the new Mimi voice? I love it.
Yeah, because it's Margaret Dumont. From the W.C. Fields movies. And she always talked like this. No, you change it.
That sounds like Julia Child.
A little bit, yeah. She had a Margaret Dumont voice. Brian Tucker in Chesney Park doesn't have one. He's a 6969 donor. Julie Smith in Angola, Indiana. Happy birthday coming up. $60.06, small breasts. Kevin McAtee in Centennial, Colorado, 60. Brian Sponoggle.
No, he doesn't.
Arlington, Virginia, 57. He's had a birthday.
Hold on. This is not good. Hello, John and Adam. My father-in-law just passed away days after his Pfizer jab. Since I can't afford that much, I will do my own birthday, $323, $57. John, as the last employee of The Source, I can tell you that CompuServe hit the jackpot. Having been previously owned by Reader's Digest, the place was full of original artwork from their covers. Apparently, some of it was very valuable. As this was my first corporate job, I thought all the office had high-end pictures adorning the walls. Would have let down when I went to a cube farm. Happy birthday to me, Brian. Okay, thanks, Brian.
So this is interesting to me because he was at The Source.
Yeah, that's
which very few of us remember. But
I remember The Source, sure.
But if the offices were filled with original art from all the magazines, because it was a Reader's Digest company, and then CompuServe bought them just lock, stock, and barrel, and I've seen this before with these publishers. What are we going to do with all this art, Bill? I'll just throw it out. And so they gave up all the art. They probably made money on that, let alone the purchase. That's interesting. It's a good story, by the way.
That's why you always want to have Post-it notes nearby when the company goes out of business to put your name on stuff.
Yeah, and grab the art.
Yeah, grab it.
Tim Hieselzell in Hanford, California, 5555. David Golding in Elgin, Great Britain, 5547. Thomas Miller in Schaumsburg, Illinois, 5533. Gillian DeVille in Newton, Mississippi, 5510. Sophia D. Martino in Laurel Hill, Florida, where you can't get insurance, according to the these boneheads in the media. $55. And she's got a birthday coming up. Happy 32nd birthday, my wonderful boyfriend, not the two of them. Tracy, and maybe schizophrenic. Tracy Bassano in Madison, Alabama, 5252. Christopher Schwab in Stillwater, New York, 5199. Patrick Nestor in Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, 5151. Now, the following people are $50 donors. Name and location, there's not that many. Kind of came up short today. Matthew Grice, Robert Case, in Mill Spring, North Carolina. Dave from Atlanta, in Johns Creek, Georgia. Lucas Deaton, which is amusing to me. Lucas Deaton in Dayton, Ohio. Jason Wright in Fort St. John, BC. Andrew Gusick, Sir Andrew in Greensboro, North Carolina. Sir Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan. Adrian Muller in Atascadero, California. You can grow a lot of artichokes in that area. Julian Robbins in Aptos. That's it. Aptos, California. That's our group of producers for Show 1331. I want to thank each and every one of them for pitching in.
And Christopher Schwab from Stillwater, that was his first donation, and he requested a dedouching, as he saw me on Rogan, and has been hooked ever since. He appreciates everything we do, keeping him sane. Of course, we'll give you a
You've been de-douched.
And a karma for everybody who needs that.
You've got karma.
And thank you all very much for supporting No Agenda 1331. If you'd like to learn more, we have a handy webpage, which is easy to remember because you can sing it. Dvorak.org/NA. Do that for the Thursday show.
It's your birthday on No Agenda.
And here we go. The birthday list is as follows. Well, I'm going to scroll up here. We've got Julie Smith saying happy birthday to her OG conspiracy therapist, UAW wage slave. And that was on March 9th, so a little late. Sir Caris, March 18th. Alan Radcliffe, happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Lorraine. That'll be on the 22nd. Tomorrow on the 23rd, Brian Spunogle will be celebrating. Sophia DiMartino says happy birthday to her wonderful boyfriend, John, just one of them, on the 25th. And Ono Priester says happy birthday to his eldest human resources, celebrating respectively on April 2nd and April 5th. And we say happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
So we have a daming and we have a knighting, which is very nice. Always got to get the spiffy blade for the dames.
Here you go.
Up on the podium, please, Anonymous and Jasmine Pyers, both of you. Very welcome into the select and incredibly exclusive group of No Agenda Knights and Dames. Thanks to your support of the show in the amount of $1,000 or more, I now am very proud to pronounce thee as Dame Jasmine of the Hidden Jewel, an anonymous driver of the Gap. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay, Diet Soda, and video games. We got Brown Cheese, Aquavit, and Small Hova. We got Harvest and Haldol, Pepperoni Rolls and Pale Ales, Redheads and Ryes, Beers and Blunts, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Vodka and Vanilla, Bongits and Bourbon, Ginger Ale and Gerbils. How about some? Yeah, you got it. Mutton and mead. Mutton and mead is a favorite. And we have that here for you at the round table. While you enjoy that, just to write down that you should go to noagendanation.com/rings so that Eric the Shill can get all your details if we don't have them yet, if you're not in the system, and get out your knight or dame ring and your sealing wax and your official certification. And thank you again, both of you, for supporting the best podcast in the universe.
No Agenda meetups. It's like a holiday.
Well, they're just going out of control, the amount of meetups that are taking place around the world. We're going to take you around the globe today as the No Agenda meetup reports are streaming in. First one from Burlington.
This is Sir Dwight the Knight at the Burlington No Agenda meetup in the morning.
This is Paul and Christina and fellow human resource on the way. I just wanted to say thank you for all the content creators in the No Agenda Nation.
Douchebag Andrew checking in.
This is Douchebag Greg from Hamilton. Thanks a lot for all you guys do for us.
This is Dame Catherine the patient. Stay safe, John.
And this is Sir Saturday. You love it, you want it for Christmas.
Hi, I'm Clint, just checking in to say hello.
In the morning!
From Burlington over to Mississippi.
Hi guys, it's Luke Cumberland coming to you live again in the evening. So you might remember me from the Memphis meetup last week. My trademark PBR. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, this is a long-time boner. First-time donor about an hour before I got here because I didn't want to be the douchebag of the group. Name's Daryl D. And this is my smoking hot wife, Gillian.
In the morning, we got Sir Rocket Man, Baron of the Bay, KG5ZFA Black 6. Have a lovely evening.
Hi, Kendra here in the deep south from Canada.
Hey
This is Ashley in the morning calling out MBS. You know who you are. Longest running boner douchebag in the history of the show.
In the morning, dude named Ben. Just started listening about 6 weeks ago. I'm currently a douchebag, but I'm going to fix that real soon.
In the morning, this is Tony. I'm the organizer. Been listening since 2011, and I'm still not a knight, so I'm still a douchebag, even though I've donated money. I don't know how that works. And the biggest douchebag is a guy named Omar in Dubai. He's the cheapest man alive, and he will never donate any money. Anyway, we had a really good time here in Mississippi, and we're going to do this again really soon.
I don't know about Omar in Dubai, but I do know that we have producers in Riyadh. In fact, we have our very own Duke, Sir David Fugazzotto. And again, an attempt at a meetup in Riyadh. How'd it go?
This is Sir Dave, the Duke of America's Heartland and the Arabian Peninsula. We are here at a meetup at Pandemic Coffee, which is an interesting little place. I'm here with a couple of our fellow travelers, and I'll pass the word around.
This is Solomon. It's good to be here meeting with fellow producers. This is Dave in the morning to y'all.
Yeah, so Dave's a new producer. He hasn't even seen the show yet, so Solomon roped him in, brought him out here, shanghaied him, and he's being introduced quite abruptly. But we've had a good time here. We had some good chow, and we'll turn you back over to the show. Thanks, guys.
These military guys are like, hey, we're going to roust you. You're coming to the meetup. You're going to like the show. Listen.
You're going to like the chow.
You're going to like the chow at the COVID cantina. And our final report, we go to another part of the world. Just two, but it's just the two of us. Moscow.
Hi, Adam and John. This is Sir of the Northern Territories and the Lady of the Northern Territories.
Hi, guys.
We are here at the Moscow meetups, and no one showed up, so we hope to see anyone in the next month in the morning.
Come on, Moscow producers. I know you're out there. Let's get this together. That's what it is. No agenda meetups.
It's too snowy.
well, but, if you're in Moscow and it's crappy and snowy and, it's what it is, it'd be nice to go hang out with some people. And you can hang out with a very diverse crowd from all walks of life. This is what's great about it. There's no common age range. There's no common occupation. A lot of people are professionals, either professional truck driver, professional medical, teachers. It's all professionals. And some just total nut jobs. But that's what makes it beautiful. No agenda meetups. What we have on the list for you. Today, actually, the Pittsburgh Best Chili Cook-Off in the Universe at 4:30. You better get a move on because it's about to start. That's Sir Andrew hosting. On Thursday, Pensacola Beach, the Florida Super Spreader event at 7 o'clock on the beach behind the Hilton. If it's raining, it'll be at the main bar in the Hilton. On Friday, Kawartha Cottage Country Spring Meetup, 6:30 at Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. Apparently, Riley says it might even be warm enough for shorts. And here is what's coming up the rest of the month. Memphis, Tennessee on the 27th, Melbourne on the 27th, Dayton on the 27th, San Fran, Montana Local 406, and Springfield, Missouri, all on the 27th of March. Then April 1st, Viola, Wisconsin on the 2nd, Houston, the Houston Hackers. April 2nd, near SLC, Seoul, Korea, South Korea, Republic of Korea, on April 3rd. Michigan Local 1 on the 10th. Also on the 10th, Take the Douchebags Bowling, Philly, Pennsylvania. That'll be a cool meetup. April 17th, the Local 404 in Atlanta, Georgia. The 24th in Chicago. May 1st, Boston and Minnesota Nuts, Nisswa. And the 16th, Local 919, Durham, North Carolina. And the 29th will be Rhode Island. This is completely spontaneous. It's the TEDx of the No Agenda Show. Miss it, and you're going to miss it. But it's real easy. NoAgendaMeetups.com.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
End of show, ISOs. End of show, ISOs?
I have but one.
Okay.
And it's called Keep Faith.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it. Keep Faith. Here we go. Let's see what you got for us.
Keep the faith.
I do have two choices. This one you already heard.
They can turn your penis into a vagina now. It's science.
That's too long, I feel. But this one may be a candidate.
I can't hear it. It doesn't work.
What do you think?
I like Keep the Faith better than those two.
Really?
Keep the faith.
Do you like that
positive, upbeat message as opposed to some guy sounds like he's having a conniption fit and one that's way too long?
It doesn't work.
All right, Keep the Faith it is. I'm good with that. I do have, let me see, do I have one final? Yeah, I just had one nice thing two things actually. A funny clip and then a nice little thing.
So yours are all upbeat. Well, I've got
all upbeat.
Okay, well, I get the downbeat one, man. Or it's kind of upbeat, it's kind of downbeat. This is keep us up with the Taliban bull crap that's going on. This is the update from PBS.
The Taliban is warning the U.S. against ignoring a May 1st deadline for leaving Afghanistan, as agreed to last year. The warning came a day after international talks in Moscow. The militants insisted the U.S. abide by the agreement.
After that, it will be a kind of violation of the agreement. So, in that case, if there is action, of course there will be reaction.
Taliban officials said they do support accelerating the peace talks, and the Kabul government said the same.
This is a mess. And you know that Russia and Iran and everyone, China, I think they're running circles around us, and within 6 months, more troops to Afghanistan. What do you think?
Well, it's almost as though it was a poison pill that was put in by Trump.
Yes.
Because it affects really only one thing, poppies.
That's all. It's really
the rest
just
of
protection.
It is just nonsense.
Who
it's just
cares?
a bunch of guys running around.
Yeah, the main thing is we don't want the Chinese, we don't want the Russians getting all the poppies, so they have a lock on the fentanyl, the heroin, and also the legal stuff. It's a big supply. And so they protect it so that no one else can grab it. Then we do it illicitly. We take it and sell it for the CIA's black budget. So why don't we just be honest? Hey, there's a lot of drugs here. It's our drugs.
It's our drugs.
Stay away. Just be honest about it.
This is our drugs. You stay out. You know what? It's not that hard to understand.
It's nothing to understand.
So we can't seem to bring ourselves to do that because people would go, oh my God, what? Oh no, what? The CIA? There's actually a movie made about this that brought it to the fore, and still the public doesn't want to believe it. Oh, what? Our CIA's is using drug money, billions and billions of dollars drug money to sponsor their operations? Yeah, that's what they do. I don't know. I still think it's a poison pill. I think Trump threw it out there. You guys, screw you if I don't get it, because he could have changed it after if he got reelected and gotten away with it because he's a flake. But nope, now we're screwed.
What was the movie again? That was Denzel Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Denzel Washington movie. It was, oh man, what was the name? Somebody that did
Isn't it
the
like
control room show.
Like the American president, the black American, the first American Gangster?
Yeah, American Gangster.
That's what it was. I think that's what it was. American Gangster. Great movie. Based on true stories.
Pretty much a true story.
Yeah.
And the guy, got through the whole thing.
Here's what's going on. So you mentioned Trump. Here's what's going on with Trump in the great state of Texas. Very concerning.
A wax museum in Texas was forced to remove a statue of former President Donald Trump because too many visitors punched and scratched the figure. The San Antonio Express News reported the Louis Tussauds Waxworks pulled the figure from public view after it was repeatedly vandalized. The statue was transferred into storage. It is unlikely the statue will return to the display floor until the new wax figure of President Biden is added into rotation, which is still under production, reports The Hill. The regional manager of Ripley Entertainment said, "We've always had trouble with the presidential section because no matter what president it was, Bush, Obama, or Trump, they've all had people beat them. The ears were torn off Obama 6 times, and then Bush's nose was punched in."
I can't believe, why didn't we get the story when they were ripping the ears off of the Obama wax figure? That's hilarious.
That would be a collectible to have around the house.
An Obama ear. Yeah, what's
Obama
that?
ear.
Collect all two. It'd be cool if you had it. I only have the right ear. I'm looking for. Maybe we could turn it into an NFT. Obama's ear.
No, NFC is non-fungible, so it can't be something that actually exists.
Yeah, did you see that John Cleese is selling an NFT for the Brooklyn Bridge? I love that guy. He gets it. All right. This is the final clip. Just fun, nice little thing. There's a lot of problems in the Netherlands, but Golden Earring is a band that everybody knows from Radar Love. It's a Dutch band. They've had many other hits. They are a staple in the Netherlands. They still perform, but guitarist George Kooijmans, he has ALS, and so this, he announced this recently. So everyone's very sad about this kind of, this is our rock band. It's our Rolling Stones. And on his birthday, which was, I believe, just a few days ago, all the church bells, and the Netherlands has a lot of church bells with carillon. What do you call that? The guy who bangs on the big wooden sticks to make the bells go.
The guy who bangs the church bell ringer, the bell guy,
the Notre Dame guy. Yeah. So all these guys, at the same time, all across Holland, played Radar Love on church bells. Just listen to a little bit. It loses something in translation.
Well, also in lack of notes.
No, it's got all the notes. Some songs just weren't meant for the carillon. Caroline. I don't know what it's called. I thought that was nice. That was upbeat.
That was cute, yeah. I agree.
Well, all right. Yay, Dutch. Now unlock your citizens, idiots. My daughter wants to come visit. Be nice after 15 months. Thursday, we'll do it all over again for you with more media deconstruction. We'll see what's happening with Russia, with China. Will the president even be alive? Will the president be Kamala? Anything can change in the long break of 3 days between shows. Coming up, we've got Grumpy Old Ben's on noagendastream.com. For end of show mixers, Fletch. We got Fletcher here with a groovy one. We got Jesse Coy Nelson. We got Obi-Wan Martini. And we have some Tom Starkweather. So great end of show mixes. Thanks to those guys. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. FEMA region number 6 on the governmental maps if you're looking for it. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we all repeat the phrase, Biden fall down, go boom. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Make sure you tune in and remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! And such.
1, 2. The idea that Joe Biden said come, and it's not going to take a whole long time. Joe Biden said come. You know, I mean, hey, come on.
I always come. I always come.
1. I can say quite clearly, don't come. 2. Don't come. 1. Don't come.
Come on.
Come on.
I'm going to come.
And most of them come with a phone number. They come over to the house. I can see them. Yes. That's the best way to do this. Yes. I know you and you know me. I know you and you know me.
Some heartbreaking scenes down there. Do you have to say quite clearly, don't come?
Joe Biden said come.
Don't come.
We're not doing that. And it's not going to take a whole long time. Whole long time. Joe Biden said come.
The guy is jizzing all over himself.
I was alone with him in his office. Joe Biden said spend money on the come.
They're not going to come because who wouldn't even think this?
Yeah. The price he's going to pay, well, you'll see shortly. Yeah. Yes, I think Joe Biden probably ended up being prosecuted, too. Yeah.
Presidential pooch Major Biden has gone from the White House to the doghouse after he was involved in an incident at his new home on Monday.
Major 8 Hunter, Joe Biden's German Shepherd, grew fed up with Hunter eating from his food dish and all those Chinese sex recordings. So the dog actually ate Joe's very corrupt son after Hunter was in deep sleep after a meth binge.
Major was surprised by an unfamiliar person.
Shame, that's the dog who's outside.
The 3-year-old dog is now back at the Biden family home in Delaware.
Stop right! Out my leg! Stop right! Look up there! Stop right! Out my leg!
Some are speculating that dogs actually protect the walking dead. Major is now attached to the cadaver that is the President of the United States.
It's not the first time Major has been in the news. A little roughhousing resulted in a fractured foot for then President-elect Biden in November.
What happened was that he slid on a throw rug, and I tripped on the rug he slid on.
Space Force. Wow, Space Force. Space Force. It's the plane of today. Space Force. Wow, Space Force. Space Force. Wow, Space Force. It's the plane of today.
We have to be concerned about the mutants. We've got to keep our eye out on the mutants.
Space Force. Wow, Space Force. It's the plane of today. Space Force. Wow, Space Force. Space Force. Wow, Space Force. It's the plane of today.
It's a new phenomena. I don't know.
It's developed a superpower.
New variants are threatening to produce a fourth wave.
So a lot of talk about variants.
Variant.
If everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be?
Variant.
This is why it's urgent to just keep going for a little bit longer. I think a lot of these restrictions can start coming down later.
I don't know.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Keep the faith.